Shang was your average corporate NPC, 9 to 5 cubicle grind, dead eyes, and a stamina bar permanently set to 0. Every day, he sat at his desk wearing a VR-style headset, fingers flying as a game programmer. In theory, the company followed a 996 schedule. In reality, Lin Shang's daily missions were straight out of a Souls-like game. It felt less like a career and more like he was trapped in the bad place, only with worse snacks. While he was grinding code like it was ranked mode, a coworker nearby dropped gossip. She whispered that an entire street had been brainwashed overnight. A male coworker leaned in like he was about to spoil the season finale of a prestige drama, claiming it was part of something called a battle, where losers were deleted and winners got main character energy and instant wealth. Lin Shang didn't even look up. In his world, if you had enough free time to gossip like a background NPC, you had enough free time to finish your KPIs. Wasting time was basically an open invitation for the boss to deduct your salary. Right on cue, the boss summoned him like a scripted cutscene trigger. As Lin Shang walked toward the office vultures began to circle. One snickered, mocking how he walked so fast yet remained buried under work. Another sneered that he'd never finish his KPIs anyway, suggesting that the pro gamer move was to slack off and treat the job like a sitcom. Inside the office, the boss delivered a verbal beatdown that lacked a visible health bar. The mission update was grim. Finish everything tonight or the monthly bonus would be withheld. A massive debuff to Lin Shang's already critical HP. By the time Lin Shang finally finished, the office was a ghost town. He leaned back, watching a suspicious figure on the street below who looked like they were on a high-level stealth mission rather than a commute. Then, his phone buzzed. The salary had landed. He started doing calculations. Debt repayment, $2,000. Rent, $1,350. Living costs, $800. Travel, unavoidable. The final balance stared back at him like a joke with no punchline, $23. He felt a spiritual connection to broke SpongeBob as the emotional damage set in. Then came the notification that his debt deadline was expiring, and his credit card was officially reduced to atoms. There was nothing left to sell. This run was over. Suddenly, a message arrived from an unknown number, 0 profile picture, maximum red flag energy. It promised that the override war could clear his debt and grant him billionaire status. The catch? Failure meant death. Lin Shang scoffed, muttering ratio under his breath. It was clearly a scam. As he walked home, the pay-to-win nature of survival felt heavier than ever. Nearby, a commotion erupted. A debt enforcement officer was dragging away a man who owed $10,000 destined for the bloody sweet factory. A bad ending if there ever was one. The man broke free, collapsed at Lin Shang's feet, and screamed, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." Lin Shang's brain blue-screened. He had a total The Office moment, staring blankly into the middle distance, wishing for a camera crew to cut to an interview. The officer dragged the man away like trash and then scanned Lin Shang. The device lit up. "Skill issue," the officer sneered, mocking Lin Shang's upcoming deadline. "You're next." Back in his apartment, Lin Shang was panting as if he'd just outrun a jump scare. The debt chip in his neck was a literal kill switch. He couldn't hack it, and he couldn't run. The screen of his life was flashing game over. With no other options, he reopened the shady message. "Do it for the plot," he whispered, and clicked. Nothing happened. He laughed at his own desperation, until the pain hit. It wasn't metaphorical. It was a violent, glitching agony that shattered reality. A system interface flickered into existence. Code number XYZ entered. Override war. It was the classic Isekai setup, but instead of Truck-kun, he'd been hit by a debt collector's ultimatum. The system prompted him to choose a faction. It was a character creation screen with high-stakes race selection. Before he could even process the unsettling virtual objects floating before him, the system finalized the choice: Lord of the Monstrous Faction. Next, he selected a hero and prepared for deployment. When the system asked for his one wish, Lin Shang went for the ultimate WikiLeaks speedrun. He wished for omniscience, to know everything about this world. The system accepted, granting him the attribute and establishing his life force. The notification flared. Battle comments. Even battle, spatless battlefield. He caught his reflection. He wasn't a corporate drone anymore. He looked like a final boss. The kind who asks, "Why are you here?" before vaporizing the party. The mission was simple. Eliminate all other lords. The office worker NPC had officially spawned as the world's greatest threat. Not far away, the battlefield was already turning into a viral highlight reel of how not to survive a deathmatch. A berserker was mid-rampage, built like he'd spent his life bench-pressing school buses and hydrated exclusively with pre-workout. He swung a weapon the size of a surfboard at a Skinner opponent who looked like he had skipped leg day, arm day, and probably the entire tutorial. The berserker smashed his weapon down with explosive force, laughing as he mocked the man for having the audacity to challenge him head-on. "You call that a build? Get good, scrub," he roared. The result was immediate. The Skinner man was sent flying like a discarded receipt, likely thinking, "I don't feel so good," as he broke the sound barrier. Fueled by pure ego, the berserker tore through the remaining summons, cutting them down while scoffing that his HP bar hadn't even dipped low enough to trigger an alert. "Pathetic," he sneered, wiping blood from his chin. "You should have gone for the head." With one final brutal slash, he split the man neatly in two. The summoned monsters dissolved into pixels, and the berserker straightened his posture, waiting for the sweet dopamine hit of a victory notification. It didn't come. The system pinged with a dry update. One lord remained. The berserker's face morphed into a perfect real-time surprised Pikachu meme. "Wait, that's illegal," he muttered, his frustration boiling over. He began cursing the sky, furious that some coward had ruined his flawless victory screen. That remaining lord was Lin Shang. Lin Shang was currently role-playing as a bush in a nearby forest, breathing steadily while the chaos unfolded. He reviewed his status panel. A lord commanding elite bone servants built for agility and the kind of nothing personal kid assassination tactics that usually get you banned from competitive servers. The UI felt strangely familiar, like the strategy games he used to develop, only with much higher stakes and significantly fewer mouse clicks. He knew one thing: if he didn't time his ultimate skill, Bloodburst, perfectly, he was just a guy in a forest with some very expensive skeletons. He activated his specialized skill, Omniscient. The world turned into a wireframe map. "I know Kung Fu," he thought as every enemy position laid itself bare. He realized victory didn't require a total wipe, he just had to delete the guy at the top. He issued a silent command, sending half his skeletons forward to make a distracting racket, while the rest ghosted through the terrain behind him. In the center of the battlefield, the berserker was practically vibrating with misplaced confidence, daring the final opponent to show his face. Come out, wherever you are," he hollered at the trees. Lin Shang watched from a cliff, analyzing the data. The berserker was a classic hits like a truck, moves like a fridge build. To confirm, Lin Shang deployed a metallic scanning insect. The results were grim. Level 1, massive stamina, but agility so low it was almost insulting. A frontal assault would be suicide, so Lin Shang chose the cowardly route. His skeletons surged from the shadows, swarming the berserker from every angle. It was a textbook, "it's a trap" moment. The berserker shouted in shock, spinning wildly as bone blades carved into his hide. These weren't heavy hits, they were a flurry of stacking bleed effects. Lin Shang leaped towards his back, watched the numbers climb, calculating the math of death by 1,000 paper cuts, and decided the best strategy to win is bleeding his enemy till death. The berserker roared, crushing skeletons with his bare hands, but for every one he smashed, another two were nipping at his Achilles' heels. Lin Shang seized the opening and blurred into motion, his daggers flashing across vital points. "You're a coward," the berserker howled, his HP dropping into the red. "Face me like a man." Honor is for noobs, Lin Shang thought, ignoring the plea for a fair fight. He activated Bloodburst to finish it, but his timing was a fraction off. The berserker laughed through the pain, triggering his own ultimate, Blood Fury. The bleed effects vanished, his muscles swelled, and his presence became a physical weight. "You activated my trap card," he bellowed. A single blow sent Lin Shang flying. He slammed into the dirt, ribs screaming. The berserker stood over him, mocking the useless bleed effects and lifting a massive boot to end the match. Lin Shang, coughing up blood and looking entirely defeated, simply whispered the command again. Blood burst. The explosion didn't come from Lin Shang, it erupted from inside the berserker's chest. The man's eyes widened. "Wait, what?" He collapsed, realization hitting him too late. Lin Shang had planted the seed of the skill before the berserker ever buffed himself. Bloodburst doesn't do much damage. Lin Shang wheezed as the berserker crumpled. But it has a hard-coded execution rule. Anything below 10 HP doesn't get a save. Victory confirmed. He looked at his hands, then at the quiet street. No craters, no skeletons. "It's free real estate," he mumbled, convinced for a fleeting second that he'd just had a very vivid, very violent nap. If he'd actually destroyed a city block, his landlord would have killed him before the system could. Then the adrenaline evaporated, leaving a hollow void where his energy used to be. His legs gave out. Lin Shang collapsed onto the road, the world fading to black. As his vision tunneled, the last thing he saw was a girl approaching from the shadows, and just like that, the tutorial was over. That night, Lin Shang slept with the absolute deadweight exhaustion of a man who had finally logged out of a broken server. When he woke, the first thing he noticed was that the bed was offensively soft. The second was a young woman sitting beside him, watching him with the kind of visible relief usually reserved for people who haven't just committed a felony. She smiled and told him he was finally awake. Lin Shang reacted with the grace of a startled cat, yanking the blanket up and scanning the room for jump scares. He demanded to know who she was and, more importantly, where the hell he was, half expecting a dramatic voiceover to inform him he'd been caught trying to cross the border in Skyrim. The girl, dressed in a crisp maid's uniform, remained unbothered. She explained calmly that he was in a hotel, specifically, a hotel registered under his name. She had found him collapsed on the roadside and brought him here to recover. Lin Shang stared at her as if she'd just informed him the moon was now his personal backyard. "Who owns this place?" he croaked. During the night, she replied, "My management chip updated its records. According to the system, you are now the boss." Lin Shang sat in a stunned, heavy silence, his brain performing the classic Homer Simpson retreat into the bushes. The sheer casualness with which she discussed management chips made his head throb. Seeing his existential crisis in real time, the girl introduced herself as a hotel waitress assigned to his exclusive submissive service and asked what he required. Lin Shang waved a shaky hand. He needed to be alone to think, or possibly to scream into a pillow. She didn't argue. She gave a respectful nod to her superior and glided out of the room. Once alone, Lin Shang marched to the window. Below him lay a city of glass and steel, and beneath his feet was a level of luxury he usually avoided even walking past to save himself the embarrassment. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a loot drop. He activated the system through his chip, and the building instantly flared gold in his vision. Ownership confirmed. The previous owner had been deleted, and the deed had auto-filled with his name. Lin Shang exhaled slowly. This wasn't just a building, it was a fortress for survival. As he dug deeper into the interface, a notification flickered. Nitcoin, the universal currency of lords generated by controlled property. He currently possessed exactly one. He read further and felt a profound wave of sympathy for every person who had ever rage quit a gacha game. Most of the high-level heroes were locked behind a paywall, staring back at him like overpriced, legendary tier DLC. Then he saw the conversion rate. Farced. Nitcoin equals $100,000. Lin Shang stared at the screen, waiting for the just kidding pop-up or a hidden camera crew. He pressed convert. The notification hit his phone instantly. His debt wasn't just paid, it had been reduced to atoms. The nightmare that had ruled his life for years was deleted with a single haptic tap. If he could capture more buildings, the cycle of exhaustion was over, but he needed to see the real world. He walked the corridors, passing staff members who bowed as if he were royalty. At the reception desk, he checked the digital ledger. His name was everywhere. The previous owner had been scrubbed from existence like a typo. It was unsettling. If power could be transferred this easily, he was standing on a very expensive target. His grim reflection was interrupted by a sudden realization. He rushed back to his old district, arriving just in time to see his apartment being purged. His landlord was standing there, barking orders at movers as they hauled Lin Shang's meager life toward the curb. "You're a month behind and a week late," the landlord snapped, not even looking up. "Eviction is immediate." Lin Shang didn't argue. He didn't plead. He simply tapped his phone, transferred $10,000 to the man on the spot, and told him to keep the change. The landlord stared at his screen, his face morphing into a perfect, real-life, surprised Pikachu meme. Did you rob a bank? What happened to you? Don't look down on people," Lin Shang said calmly. "Our debt is settled. I'm moving into a hotel." He turned and left without looking back, the shonen training arc music practically playing in his head. He understood the loop now. Nitcoin required property. Property required conflict. Conflict demanded heroes. He had been lucky with the Berserker, but luck wasn't a stat he wanted to rely on. Just as he was settling into his new reality, the system pinged with a cold, sharp chime. "Another lord has entered your territory." Lin Shang stared at the message, stunned. He had barely checked in, and someone was already trying to check him out. Outside the hotel, a sleek vehicle pulled to the curb. A fashionable young woman stepped out, her phone already mounted on a gimbal. She beamed at her livestream audience, her voice bubbly and energetic. "Hey guys, we are finally here at the city's most exclusive luxury hotel," she chirped, adjusting her collar and whispering, "Let's get this bread," to her followers. She smiled confidently at the camera, announcing that today's show was going to be spectacular. Inside, Lin Shang felt the atmospheric pressure drop. The storm had arrived. After settling in and entering her room, the girl moved with the kind of practiced ease that suggested she already owned the floor. Main character energy was practically oozing from her pores. She activated her personal flying drone with a casual command. The device hovered smoothly, sounding less like a high-tech AI and more like a neutral Twitch mod reporting live from the scene. The temperature was 25 degrees. Air quality was good. Environmental conditions were, and she quoted, "ideal for the content." She swept the curtains open and admired the view. To ensure the setup wasn't wasted, she ordered a full scan of the hotel and the surrounding neighborhood. The drone chirped its acknowledgement and began executing. Then the tone shifted instantly. A system warning flared in her vision. An override war has begun nearby. You are about to be affected. Prepare for battle immediately. It was a textbook record scratch, freeze frame moment. She raised an eyebrow, genuinely surprised that an override war could spawn in such a remote spawn point. Still, her confidence remained at max level. She calmly ordered her subordinate, Gully, to locate the source of the conflict. In her mind, a place this small couldn't possibly hide a player with a higher gear score than her. At worst, she muttered, this will be free profit, a bag secured. While she was calculating her potential gains, Lin Shang was dealing with a very different UI. His system notified him that the support system was online, prompting him to choose a category. Lin Shang hesitated. He hadn't even touched this function in his previous fight. This was New Game Plus on hard mode. 5 major support categories appeared, each packed with options split between free-to-play and premium content. He scrolled through them and immediately spotted the pack-to-win mechanics. The paid options were absurdly broken. while the free ones were polite, like showing up to a late-game boss fight with a level 5 starter Pokemon. Since his Nick coin was already spent, he had no choice. After a brief moment of consideration, he selected an ordinary crossbow. It wasn't impressive, it was just functional. It was honest work. With his support granted, Lin Shang entered the battlefield, scanning the terrain for his opponent. Then, someone actually appeared. A large man stepped forward and introduced himself as New Gel Li. He laughed as he spoke, declaring he had come specifically to challenge Lin Shang. His tone was theatrical and arrogant, like he was performing an unskippable cutscene monologue for an audience that didn't exist. Lin Shang stared at him, finding it strange that anyone would announce themselves so dramatically before a fight, before quietly concluding the world was just full of weird people. Must be a streamer, he thought. He didn't waste any breath on a response. Lin Shang drew his dagger and sliced through a group of goblins in one smooth motion, cutting them down like paper. He immediately summoned his skeletons, who wiped out the remaining mobs without breaking rhythm. A true speedrun clear. New Gel Li stepped forward confidently, watching the scene with a grin. The way he looked at Lin Shang and his bone crew made it clear he wasn't taking them seriously. He was essentially standing there with a pathetic, mean face. Lin Shang noticed, and so did his skeletons. He ordered them to scatter and hide among the trees. New Gel Li wandered through the battlefield, laughing loudly as he searched, clearly enjoying the hunt. Soon, one skeleton attacked him head-on, but the result was a total letdown. New Gel Li crushed the skeleton effortlessly, treating it like a toy. One after another, the skeletons were destroyed with casual swings. Watching this, Lin Shang confirmed a big yikes suspicion. Barbarian-type heroes could recover health by killing enemy units. Still, Lin Shang moved in for the flank. He aimed for New Gel Li's back to apply bleed damage, but the strike was instantly parried by twin swords. New Gel Li laughed and mocked him, calling Lin Shang's strength pathetic and bragging about his perfect combat form as if reciting a resume. While New Gel Li was busy talking, Lin Shang struck, but he messed up. 5 rapid hits landed cleanly across New Gel Li's body, yet the man barely reacted. He waved it off as meaningless and activated his Blood Fury battle spirit. Power surged around him as he roared, demanding Lin Shang face him like a man. Lin Shang just looked at him calmly. "It's time to rest," he said. Then he triggered Blood Burst. The skill detonated inside New Gel Li's body without warning. The explosion tore through him, killing him on the spot. As he collapsed, New Gel Li used his last breath to curse Lin Shang for relying on noob bleeding techniques. Lin Shang looked down at the corpse. "Skill issue," he remarked, noting that opponents with such low skill were nothing more than resources to him. Then, the system stayed silent. No victory announcement. Instead, a notification appeared stating that one more lord remained on the battlefield. Victory required total elimination. Lin Shang exhaled slowly, the situation feeling uncomfortably familiar. "Ah, here we go again," he muttered. As night fell, Lin Shang continued his search until he finally found her. She stood atop the trees, balanced effortlessly, smiling as summoned spirits gathered around her. She looked completely at ease, radiating a total villain in the anime opening vibe. It was the same girl who had checked into the hotel earlier, and now she was ready to fight him. "So it has come to this," she seemed to whisper. "Would you like me to describe how Lin Shang uses his omniscient skill to analyze her summoned spirits before the fight begins?" Lin Shang moved through the forest with the slow, deliberate care of a man in full stealth mode. He'd already confirmed the surrounding lords were out of the game. S-rank mission. Stealth mode. Activated. Honestly, Solid Snake who? This left only one logical conclusion. The final boss was hiding right here in the brush. He summoned his analyzing insect to scout ahead. It didn't last a second. The girl destroyed the bug instantly, clicking her tongue in disgust. "Ew. Bugs. Get that weak trash out of my domain." 02 would be so disappointed. No hesitation, no warning. Just deleted. Vibe check. Failed. It was at this exact moment Lin Shang knew he'd messed up. Realizing his scout had been sniffed out without even triggering an alert, Lin Shang didn't wait to find out what was next. He leapt into a tree, concealing himself among the branches just as an arrow tore through the air where his head had been. He deflected it by the skin of his teeth and dropped to the ground. More arrows followed from multiple directions. His attacker was repositioning smoothly, never sitting still. "Stop running! Are you serious?" Lin Shang shouted into the trees. She only smiled and kept moving. Is she cosplaying a hunter from that one game? Because she definitely had the main character energy to pull it off. Despite the chaos, Lin Shang stayed locked in. He relied on instincts honed from 1,000 assassination scenarios to dodge the incoming fire. As the arrows kept raining down, he realized his free support item might actually earn its keep. The secret ingredient is always crime, or in this case, a wooden crossbow. Lin Shang pulled out the ordinary weapon and let out a faint smile. He took a breath, aimed, and fired a single clean shot. One of the spirit archers dropped instantly. "Wait, that actually worked? Gojo Satoru, is that you?" The absolute audacity. Hidden behind a tree, the girl stiffened. She hadn't expected an elite bone servant to suddenly switch to ranged combat. Lin Shang didn't give her time to process it. He fired again, and again, each bolt striking true. Spirit archers fell one after another as he moved and dodged with the calm, precise precise accuracy of someone who had done this far too many times. He is the main character. You love to see it. When the last spirit archer vanished into pixels, Lin Shang stood still. The girl realized something unsettling. The crossbow's range was mid, but the accuracy was terrifying. This wasn't panic firing. This was total control. Your soldiers are gone, Lin Shang called out. You might as well show yourself. No need to keep up the clown act. I'm tired of playing these games. Using Swift Shadow Arrow, the girl leapt from her hiding place. Lin Shang reacted instantly and fired, but her attack hit first. She taunted him mid-air. Switching to ranged, did you abandon part of your skill set, boo? How very mid of you. You're not built for this. She didn't stop there. I hate the monster race, especially elite bone units. They're all just so ugly. You look like you're about to ask me if I want to play a game. Lin Shang silently admitted she had a point. Using the crossbow meant he couldn't stack bleed effects, and without bleed, Blood Seed couldn't activate. This is why you don't skip the tutorial. Pain. Guess I'll just have to get good the hard way, he thought. He'd have to weaken her the slow way. Then he remembered his analyzing insects had a survival trait. They could disperse independently. Wait a minute. I do know Kung Fu. Lin Shang released them all at once, using the skill the only way it could ever be truly effective. The insects scattered, and through their paths, Lin Shang traced her position perfectly. He fired. The arrow caught her right in the shoulder. Her eyes widened. A true combo. Task failed successfully. Before she could reset, more arrows followed in quick succession. She retaliated with an arrow shower assault, but the damage barely registered on his bar. Lin Shang didn't move. He simply waited. I can do this all day. When she finally closed the distance to finish him, Lin Shang made his move. He planted the blood seed onto her body in one clean, fluid motion. Surprised, she laughed lightly and asked for his name. She admitted he was skilled, then immediately went back to mocking his ugly monster race. She told him he should have picked a spirit race like hers, beautiful and powerful. Lin Shang listened, genuinely confused. She sounded more amused than angry. She's not mad, she's just disappointed. The audacity. Is this a drill? Still laughing, she decided the vibes were off and retreated. Once she reached a safe distance, reality finally set in. She realized how close she had been to a game over screen. If she had stayed a second longer, that blood seed would have ended her. Without hesitation, she ordered Gully to activate a barrier and withdrew from the battlefield entirely. Not today, Satan. We take the L and bounce. Run, Forest, run. With her retreat, the territory was secured. Lin Shang stood alone among the trees, completely baffled. The battle hadn't ended with a bang, and he wasn't sure if he'd won or just been spared. I understood that reference. What a plot twist. Later that night, the girl woke up in her hotel room. Her expression was cold as she ordered Gully to locate Lin Shang's current position. He is now within my territory. It's time for a proper grind session. It's on site. Gully acknowledged instantly and began the search. Eventually, Gully succeeded in locating Lin Shang. Using that intel, Yan entered his room with the quiet, predatory intent of a player trying to end a boss fight before the second phase triggers. Her goal was simple: kill him before he woke up. She approached the bed with extreme caution. At that exact moment, Lin Shang opened his eyes. The two of them froze. For a brief, unbearable second, neither spoke. The silence was heavy, awkward, and extremely suspicious. It was a total record-scratch moment, the kind where the sitcom audience is just waiting for the disaster to unfold. Yan was the first to react. She stiffened, forced a casual expression, and remarked awkwardly, "You're awake." Lin Shang shot upright and immediately shouted, demanding to know who she was and why she was in his room. Seriously, who are you and why are you in my house? He practically quoted the meme. Without hesitation, Yan ordered Gully to aim. A red laser sight appeared, locking directly onto Lin Shang's forehead. Lin Shang stared at the dot, furious. He told her to stop fooling around and asked what she thought she was doing. Yan calmly told him not to move and insisted he listen to her first. Lin Shang found the situation ridiculous. Being threatened at gunpoint was apparently now an invitation to a casual chat. You know the rules, and so do I, he muttered under his breath, thoroughly exasperated. Ignoring his saltiness, Yan introduced herself and stated clearly that she wanted to form an alliance. Lin Shang blinked, confused. What kind of alliance? Yan explained she was the spirit lord who had fought him the previous day. The realization clicked, but Lin Shang couldn't stop himself from pointing out that she looked completely different now. I mean, no offense, he added, doing a quick, involuntary Spider-Man pointing meme at her former appearance, but where's the glow-up? This is a serious downgrade from the final boss aesthetic. Yan's expression darkened instantly. She snapped back, mocking his choice of a monster race. You chose that? That's so aggressively mid, she scorned, calling his avatar ugly and lowly. Lin Shang protested, saying he hadn't chosen it willingly, but Yan's irritation spiked. She warned him sharply not to bring up that topic again and ordered Gully to fire a warning shot. The blast slammed into the wall beside Lin Shang's head, leaving a perfect circle of destruction that looked suspiciously like a Giga Chad meme cutout, effectively forcing him into silence. Satisfied, Yan continued. She admitted Lin Shang was skilled and said she wanted to fight alongside him as an ally. In return, she demanded a share of the Nitcoin rewards. Lin Shang questioned if that was even possible. The system said, kill everyone to win, and he still didn't know how she had vanished from the battlefield earlier. Yan laughed. She told him that despite his abilities, he was still very much a beginner. You're like the side character who thinks they've unlocked the full map, she scoffed. She explained that the Override War hadn't started recently or locally. It had begun 3 years ago and was already a global pandemic. This city only had a few Nitcoin-producing buildings, which is why the fighting had just started here. In other regions, alliances were already the meta, with many players serving large corporations as contracted combat agents. Lin Shang asked why she hadn't joined one of those powerful orgs. Yan replied that individual strength had limits. If a large corporation had been willing to accept her, she never would have come looking for him. Lin Shang thought it through. An alliance with Yan wouldn't just give him combat support, it would give him lore. He needed insight into a war he barely understood, even if he knew she was hiding things. Trusting her blindly was foolish but necessary. After a short pause, Lin Shang agreed to the alliance on one condition: she would follow his commands. Yan didn't hesitate. She accepted immediately and ordered Gully to activate the alliance program. The system responded at once, enveloping Lin Shang in a protective barrier as the process finalized. Lord Lin Shang and Lord Yan were now officially allied. Yan explained that alliances were essentially backdoor programs developed by major corporations, allowing multiple codes to merge under a shared battle ID. Lin Shang remarked that she seemed to know far more than she let on. I need someone to explain the lore, he deadpanned. Yan smiled and said she would explain things gradually, but then stopped herself, deciding it was time to leave. Before she went, Lin Shang asked how she had found him, and if she'd been stalking him. Yan only smiled. She placed a finger against her lips in a practiced Anya Forger pose and whispered, "It's a secret." She reminded him of their priorities: grow stronger, earn Nitcoin, share the loot. She added casually that she was staying on the 15th floor of his hotel if he needed her, and Lin Shang acknowledged he would contact her once he had a new strategy. After Yan left, Lin Shang finally relaxed. Sitting on the bed, he admitted she was right. Survival and growth came first. To get stronger, he needed Nitcoin. To get Nitcoin, he needed property. Activating the map, Lin Shang scanned the area. Then he marked his next target. The next morning, the POV shifted to a different server entirely. Inside a sleek high-rise, a man stood by a floor-to-ceiling window, staring at the city with a measured high refresh rate focus. His posture was calm, but his attention was sharp. A voice crackled through his earpiece, informing him that this specific battle had been hand-picked by his elder sister. The target: a printing district. The objective: perform well, or don't bother coming home for dinner. A moment later, the voice added that his helper had already arrived. Right on cue, his assistant called to report a woman downstairs requesting a meeting. She claimed she had an appointment, even though her name didn't appear anywhere on the schedule. The man didn't hesitate. He told the assistant to let her in. He knew a plot-relevant NPC when he heard one. The woman entered the room with the kind of absolute confidence that usually requires a theme song. She was rocking a striking, high-fashion street fit with a jacket that looked straight out of Akira, making it feel like she had stepped out of a completely different genre, as if her entire life was just one long shonen main character arc. The man studied her briefly, then greeted her, assuming she was the helper his sister had sent. She removed her sunglasses slowly, smirked, and went straight for the throat. She waved off his politeness like it was a low-level pop-up ad. She was only there because of his sister. In her eyes, he was still a total newcomer. "You're giving side quest energy right now," she remarked, handing over the intel his sister had requested. Guo reviewed the data. It was extremely detailed, top-tier loot. Without warning, the woman produced a contract and pushed it toward him, urging him to sign. As she did, her behavior turned deliberately provocative, clearly testing if his composure would break. Guo kept his poker face steady, simply commenting that her behavior was rather impolite. She laughed, praising his courage. "Impudence is my brand, Guo. Okay, you passed the vibe check. Now sign it. No takebacks. No, I didn't read the fine print excuses. We're not doing a DLC content drop here." Turning to leave, she finally dropped her name, Wen Sen Dai. She mentioned her contact info was already on his PDA. "Just hit my DMs," she added, walking out as confidently as a final boss exiting a cutscene. Back at Lin Shang's hotel room, he and Yan were huddled over a projected map, the target area glowing in front of them. Lin Shang pointed out that the location was unoccupied and resembled an open market. Narrow paths, perfect for turning into choke points. "We can't just be Leroy Jenkins about this," he warned. Yan immediately suggested the W key strategy, charging straight in. Lin Shang stopped her with a look that clearly said, "This is not Dynasty Warriors." He explained that the system showed 2 nearby lords who might also try to claim the zone. They needed to be ready for a 3-way skirmish. Yan waved it off. "Those 2 weren't the real problem. They're just low-poly NPCs," she warned. "We need to worry about the final boss, the one with the real plot armor." She ordered Gully to dump the intelligence they'd gathered. The data confirmed it. The Chen family was likely to intervene. Lin Shang grimaced. Running into a major corporate family this early was a massive difficulty spike. He asked what their chances were if they clashed. Yan answered casually that if they ran into a top-tier leader, their win rate would drop to around 10%. She smiled as she said it. "The odds are never zero, Lin Xiang. So, you're telling me there's a chance?" Lin Xiang stared at her, feeling the emotional damage of those stats. 10%? That's the equivalent of a gotcha pull for a 5-star character. I should have stayed in bed. Yan grabbed his shoulder, assuring him the Chens wouldn't send a whale for such a minor area. Relax. This is a skirmish, not a John Wick sequel. When Lin Xiang questioned if her sources were actually reliable, Yan took it personally. She dramatically clenched her fists, eyes flashing. How dare you? You wound me, Lin Xiang. I have the high ground. My sources are reliable, unlike your Wi-Fi when you're trying to stream anime. Lin Xiang immediately backed off and admitted he trusted her. Satisfied, Yan explained that Gully had been scouting the area the moment the target was marked. The intel was solid. The plan was set. The attack would launch tomorrow. The next morning, the duo arrived at the target building. As they stepped into range, Lin Xiang's system hummed to life, and the override space expanded around them like a digital dome. A prompt flickered in his vision, glowing with anticipation. Do you wish to accept the battle request and officially initiate the attack? As they prepared to initiate the attack, Yan immediately reached for her weapon selection with the impatient energy of a player trying to skip the opening cinematic. Lin Xiang stopped her before she could confirm. He warned her that this battle wouldn't be a simple mob clear and that their gear needed to match the strat. We can't just brute force it like in Dark Souls, he muttered, eyes scanning the battlefield layout. Yan didn't even look bothered. She casually admitted she was sticking with her current setup, the same one she had used against him in their previous fight. Lin Xiang frowned. It's daytime, the terrain is different, and that night terror strat won't work here. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Yan relaxed completely and laughed, pushing the responsibility back onto him. No pressure. Main character, she added with a smirk. Lin Xiang gave her a helpless look, genuinely wondering how someone with her vibes-based survival strategy had managed to avoid a game over for this long. Must be the strongest plot armor in the game, he thought. He turned back to the selection screen, agonizing over the options. Yan started pacing. Are you trying to pick a new main in Smash Bros? Just pick something already. The server is probably going to kick us for AFK. Stop talking! Lin Xiang snapped. He eventually gambled on a weapon whose detailed stats were hidden behind a reveal upon purchase wall. Classic pay to win, he grumbled as he hit confirm. The duo entered the battlefield and the system immediately pinged. Other lords were already in the vicinity. This time, Lin Xiang stated calmly, "We take the initiative." Yan agreed without hesitation. The win condition remained unchanged. Delete all other lords. They rushed toward a heavily guarded, castle-like structure. Lin Xiang's skeletons surged forward to take the aggro, while Lin Xiang himself blurred through the chaos like an assassin, aiming to break the guard formation from the inside. The moment he lunged, he was violently repelled. A solid shield wall slammed into place. The guards had formed a turtle formation, their shields overlapping into a perfect, impenetrable barrier. Lin Xiang clicked his tongue. Full-on Spartan kick. Yan, I need a CC break now. Yan unleashed her spirits without delay, raining a barrage of arrows onto the shield wall. Cracks began to appear in the defense, but the counterfire was brutal. Several of her spirits were sniped out of the air in quick succession. Yan dove for cover, huffing as she repositioned. Ugh, I'm not getting paid enough for this kind of cardio, she called out. Lin Xiang ordered a split pull, and they dashed into separate covers as the battlefield fell briefly silent. Then, the shield wall parted. The lord of the fortress stepped forward, radiating final boss energy. He mocked them openly, telling them to stop hiding. You shall not pass, he boomed, his voice echoing off the stone walls. Lin Xiang felt a sudden, weird jolt of recognition. Before he could place the voice, the man raised his hand. The response was immediate. The soldiers adjusted their stances and fired a volley of specialized crossbow bolts. On impact, the projectiles erupted into massive explosions that rattled Lin Xiang's teeth. Holy smokes, Lin Xiang yelled over the noise. It's a Lin Xiang Bay film out here. The fortress lord issued a flank command, and Lin Xiang's skeleton army began to dissolve under the pressure. Every time Lin Xiang tried to close the gap, the shield wall reformed with mechanical precision, spears thrusting in disciplined arcs that tore his summons apart. The run was collapsing. Lin Xiang cursed under his breath, but then he noticed the lord had raised a gun, aiming it directly at his chest. The man's voice was chillingly calm. I never expected we would meet again like this, he said. Remember, I am your father? Lin Xiang froze. The man clearly recognized him, but no matter how hard Lin Xiang searched his memory, he couldn't recall a single frame of this guy. This man is clearly playing 4D chess, and I'm still stuck on checkers, Lin Xiang thought, a cold sweat breaking out. The disconnect was terrifying. Whatever history they shared, Lin Xiang was currently standing in the center of a very deadly, very personal crosshair. With Lin Xiang on the verge of a game over, Guo aimed his gun directly at Lin Xiang's head. He looked down, his expression chillingly calm, and delivered the line. You should still remember me as an old friend. Lin Xiang, breathing heavily and nursing a shattered stamina bar, managed a tired reply. I should have known only a Chen family head would attempt to occupy this place. This is some serious main character syndrome stuff. Guo nodded, a flicker of acknowledgement in his eyes. Guilty as charged. And you, Lin Xiang, you entered the override war. Honestly, if we had met under different circumstances, perhaps at a Waffle House has found its new host gathering, we might have been able to sit down and talk peacefully for a while. If I'd known G-Man himself was here, Guo, I would never have tried to claim the area, Lin Shang admitted. You know my vibe, Guo grinned, a brief flash of the schoolyard friend they once were. Still the same energy after all these years. But don't you dare mistake this situation as leniency born from old friendship. If you believe that, then you are completely, utterly wrong. Suddenly, Guo's composure snapped. His voice cracked with years of repressed resentment. Every time we argued in the past, you were always the one who apologized first and stepped back. Did you truly see me as weak? Unworthy of being treated as an equal? Did you think I was just some side character you could casually protect? You thought I was the soy jack and you were the Chad. After the outburst, Guo forced himself back into a state of cold focus. He lowered the gun slightly. This time, I will defeat you fairly, using only my own strength. This is my villain origin story, and I am rewriting the script. Sensing the shift in the narrative, Lin Shang dropped to his knees. There's no need to go easy on me, Lin Xiang. Stop being dramatic. Guo barked, clearly offended by the gesture. He signaled his soldiers to fire. Just as the arrows were about to be released, kaboom! A deafening explosion tore through the battlefield, blasting the weapons apart. Yan, a whirlwind of motion and absolute chaos, revealed herself as the attacker. She turned and shouted at Lin Xiang, "Why are you still standing there in a daze? You look like a meme of confusion. Get in the damn robot, Shinji." Without waiting for a reply, she grabbed him like a sack of potatoes and dragged him toward cover, ordering an immediate retreat. Yan blew a whistle, summoning a squad of spirit archers who began raining ethereal arrows toward the castle. Guo just folded his arms and scoffed. Cheap tricks, nothing more than a TikTok trend that will be forgotten by next week. With a single, powerful strike, he wiped out the incoming spirit arrows in an instant. Watching the display, Lin Shang realized how much he had underestimated his old friend. He's got that Gojo Satoru level of power now, he muttered. Once they reached a safer position, Yan turned on Lin Shang, hands on hips. What went wrong? Several of my spear archers were destroyed because of your hesitation. That's a serious resource drain. Lin Shang sat silently in the corner, looking like a forgotten background character from an old JRPG. After a long moment, he finally spoke. The lord we just faced, he's my friend from my student days. Guo was constantly bullied at school. People mocked him because of his family background. It was like a real-life school drama, but without the cool soundtrack. Back then, Lin Shang continued, I stepped in repeatedly, fighting the bullies and protecting him whenever I could. I thought I was being the ultimate wingman. Yan stared at him in shock. Wait, Guo is truly the young master of the Chen family? And you came from a wealthy background too? Lin Shang frowned, trying to piece together the fragmented files of his own life. Nah, I'm not from a rich family. Honestly, much of my past now feels distant and strangely unclear. It's like my memory got Thanos snapped. Yan moved closer, her voice losing its sharp edge. Lin Shang, do you understand what kind of fantasy someone like Guo might have carried? You thought it was like those television dramas, friendship meant protection and loyalty. The classic shonen anime tropes. She shook her head. But someone like Guo, bound by strict family rules and isolated, didn't want a bodyguard. He wanted a friend who could stand beside him and fight as an equal. She looked toward the fortress. Guo is trying to prove, through power, that he is worthy of standing next to you. He's telling you, I am the danger. She added with a wry smile, he's not the only one, by the way. I'm doing the same in my own way. Suddenly, Guo's voice, amplified by magic, echoed through the trees. Lin Shang, come out and face me. I know you're there. Fight me seriously. This isn't a drill. Lin Shang stood up, his resolve finally hardening. He's terrible at communicating, Yan remarked, but he genuinely wants this fight. He's giving you that classic, it's not about the money, it's about sending a message energy. Lin Shang agreed, a small smile forming. He stepped out from cover and declared, Guo, I will fight you properly. I don't care if it means I lose. Let's settle this, once and for all. As Lin Shang raised his weapon, Guo advanced, his eyes burning with purpose. Good. I will use this battle to prove that I am no longer the weak person I once was. I have evolved. As the battle was about to hit its peak, Yan quickly dipped behind a tree, quietly ordering her archers to prep support from the shadows. Guo glanced at Lin Shang, unimpressed. Where's your companion? Is she getting the aux cord or something? Why isn't she stepping forward with you? Lin Shang replied with the stone-cold confidence of a high-level solo player. I'm more than enough. He immediately summoned an analyzing insect to pull up Guo's stats. The panel flickered to life. Guo, Slayer Drummer, Religion Race. Rank 0, 700 HP. Attack, 8. Defense, 8. Agility, 4. Lin Shang stared at the UI and muttered, LMAO. These stats are giving default character skin energy. He must be hard carrying with a unique skill. Guo didn't wait for the roast to finish. He began barking precise commands like a pro-tier RTS player. Execute formation 6B, shift flanks, echelon charge, no breaks. Crossbow units moved into position for rear support, locking down the lanes. Lin Shang stood unmoving, a calm pixel in a sea of motion. Guo activated his horn skill. At the signal, the entire battalion charged simultaneously. Lin Shang crouched low and began dodging with frames per second precision, a fluid blur of motion. He scanned the coordinated assault, realized there was no easy opening, and thought, okay, it's getting a little Matrix in here. He reset his focus, tracking every blade and bolt. At the perfect window, he evaded a flurry of strikes and leapt into the air. Guo didn't miss a beat. He drew his pistol and fired. Nin Shang felt the sting and immediately sensed a glitch in the matrix. The damage was 2 points higher than the base stat allowed. Guo smirked, blowing smoke from the barrel. My horn skill grants me and my troops a 2-point damage buff. 5 minutes of pure power-up. Did you really think this was going to be easy mode? He raised the gun again, aiming right between Lin Shang's eyes. Suddenly, an arrow thudded into a nearby tree, Yan's signal. Her archers launched a coordinated volley into Guo's ranks, dropping soldiers instantly. Guo's head snapped toward the new threat. He pivoted, activating his domain fortress skill. Target the archers. Fire! He screamed at his crossbowmen. Lin Shang took the opening and sprinted across the battlefield. Guo fired a parting shot, yelling for him to die. But Lin Shang's assassin-level speed was already off the charts. The bullet hit nothing but air. On the other side of the clearing, Yan realized in horror that her spirit archers had been deleted in seconds. Seeing the crossbows now swiveling toward her, she panicked. Lin Shang, save me! Help! GG's! The sky suddenly turned a bruised purple. Thunder rolled with a bass-boosted roar as storm clouds swallowed the sun. Bolts of lightning crashed down with surgical precision, obliterating Guo's soldiers in a shower of sparks and dirt. Guo shouted in total disbelief. Wait, what? That's illegal. I'm reporting this. He spun around, only to find Lin Shang standing behind him, calmly holding a massive, glowing tome. Lin Shang told Yan to retreat, and she didn't need to be told twice. She activated a program through Gully and vanished from the battlefield like a disconnected player. Guo stared at the book, then at Lin Shang. Hold up. You're a bone assassin. Why do you have a magic book? That's not canon. Who is your editor? Lin Shang just shrugged, activating the next page. Preparation time is long, and the cost. 200,000 Nitcoin per use. Yeah, it's basically my rent for the year, he explained. But wiping out a squad this size? Totally worth the drip. The spell was relentless. Lightning continued to rain down, systematically despawning Guo's army. One massive strike caught Guo directly. Lin Shang winced internally. That's another 200 that gone. I'm never going to financially recover from this. Guo dropped to one knee, breathing hard. He looked up, a twisted sort of respect in his eyes. I never expected an assassin to spec into magic support. You really went for the weirdest build possible. That's the point, Lin Shang replied. Being unpredictable means never doing what the guidebooks expect. He gestured dismissively, signaling that the match was essentially over. Guo slowly stood back up. For a second, a flashback hit, the memory of Lin Shang saving him back in the day. Ah, the simpler times, he sighed to himself. The two exchanged a quiet, knowing smile, the kind shared by two people who have spent too much time in the same lobby. Then, the atmosphere hardened again. Guo rallied the few soldiers he had left, his eyes burning. This is my final attack, Lin Shang. Lin Shang stood his ground, weapon ready. The one winning this fight is me. With that, they both charged. No more gadgets, no more gimmicks, just one final earnest clash to settle the score. Just like that, Lin Shang and Guo collided head-on, and the battlefield exploded into high FPS motion. It was less a strategic maneuver and more a this is fine dog stepping directly into the flames. Steel met flesh as Lin Shang surged forward, activating his bleed attacks on Guo's charging soldiers. He carved a straight path through the formation, moving with the lethal efficiency of an Attack on Titan scout regiment, one-shotting the mobs to get to the boss. In a blur, Lin Shang passed Guo. Guo reacted instantly, pivoting with nothing personal kid energy. He activated his horn skill again and fired, the shot echoing across the terrain. But Lin Shang had already made his move. As he'd slipped past, he'd planted a blood seed. The skill took effect almost immediately, a ticking clock of digital doom. The two men stopped. They stood facing each other across the ruined battlefield, surrounded by despawning soldiers and fading system effects. Guo took a breath and admitted that Lin Shang was still strong. Even inside the game, nothing had changed. You truly are the main character, he thought, fighting down a sigh. He told Lin Shang that if he detonated the seed now, the match was over. Lin Shang hesitated. What happens to you if I do? Do you lose the territory too? Guo looked at him, realizing Lin Shang still didn't fully understand the lore of the Override War. He reassured him that he would be fine and urged him to finish it, essentially asking him not to drag out the cutscene. Lin Shang activated his strongest blood seed. The detonation tore through the battlefield in a violent explosion, the sound echoing like a Dragon Ball Z final beam struggle. The scene shifted abruptly to the real world, specifically, the Chen family mansion. Guo stood silently as his elder sister delivered a lecture sharp enough to cut glass. Explain this to me, she commanded, and make it snappy, like a pre-skip One Piece episode. Guo channeled his inner stoic anime protagonist and offered no defense, which only made things worse. His sister scolded his attitude and ordered him to kneel for the loss. Before he could move, the younger sister stepped in, playing the voice of reason trope, insisting there had to be a logic behind the defeat. I was outmatched, Guo admitted plainly. I lost. There's nothing more to say. He knelt before the patriarch. Welp, he thought. Time for my red wedding moment. The patriarch's expression was a cold game over screen as he ordered the application of family rules. But then, Lin stepped forward. She played the ultimate support role, asking the patriarch to calm down. She explained that Guo hadn't disgraced anyone. He'd been double-teamed by two lords who had combined their pressure to break his advantage. Lin was not playing around. She was the team's MVP buff provider. The mention of two opponents instantly shifted the elder sister's aggro. The younger sister volunteered to investigate, and the patriarch finally told Guo to stand. He warned him not to disappoint the family again, while the elder sister banned him from the override war until the investigation was patched. Lin announced her exit, and Guo followed her out. "Why did you speak up for me?" he asked. "I just stated the facts," Lin replied with a playful smile. "Just a reminder that I'm your best stat booster," she mused internally. Guo thanked her sincerely and offered a ride. When she teased him about it, Guo turned into a total shonen protagonist, flustered, stuttering, and failing to sound convincing about his hidden intentions. Lin laughed, telling him not to rush. He'd have his chance eventually. After Lin left, an extravagant limousine arrived, looking like it had been lifted straight from a John Wick set. A bodyguard opened the door for an important figure. The patriarch and both sisters scrambled forward to greet the guest with the kind of respect usually reserved for a world boss. The visitor looked around, casually insulting the mansion's simplicity before entering. The vibe was pure mid-season villain arrival on a high-budget Netflix show. Guo remained on the sidelines, observing quietly as the guest was escorted in. Once the dust settled, he instructed his driver to return to the company. As the car pulled away, his expression was calm and unreadable, the classic thousand-yard stare of a man preparing to go full L on the competition. Back in the real world, Lin Shang instantly went full bro what just happened mode. "I said retreat, not poof like an anime character who realizes the plot requires them to be elsewhere," he ranted. He reminded her that retreat doesn't mean rage quit reality like a tilted Valorant player, only for Yan to hit him with peak survival core logic. Nothing matters more than the HP bar. She casually added that since she could hear him yelling, she knew he survived, then dropped the most audacious line possible. She was at Auntie Yang's restaurant waiting for him to come pay the bill. Lin Shang stared at his screen like Windows had just blue-screened his soul. "Is this a free sub?" he muttered, feeling the financial damage in real time. Despite the audacity, they met up. Lin Shang asked why Guo had been so calm about the L, and Yan explained the whale meta. Only players who lose all their territory get punished. For a family like the Chens, losing one market was just pocket change falling out of designer pants. She pointed out they now owned 4 Nitcoin-producing buildings, which deserved a celebration. Lin Shang agreed. His income had jumped, and his debts were finally gone. The win felt earned, not RNG carried. They toasted to their first team victory with way too much enthusiasm for two people who had almost died hours ago. Lin Shang channeled his inner Leslie Knope, ordering more food and declaring "treat yourself" like the money might despawn. Yan laughed, declaring they should drink until they felt rich. When the bill came, Lin Shang paid instantly and stumbled out with her, prompting Auntie Yang to jokingly tell a coworker the two looked way too close for comfort. This led to the totally normal and not at all suspicious outcome of both of them waking up in the same bed the next morning. Yan's drone gully recorded the whole thing, the camera panning out like the opening shot of The Office in silent secondhand embarrassment. Lin Shang woke up sneezing like a malfunctioning NPC. Yan groaned, half asleep and annoyed until they both realized the situation and screamed in perfect sync. The atmosphere turned criminally awkward when they realized Lin Shang was only in his underwear. Yan immediately commanded Gully to play back the tapes. The footage showed Lin Shang spent the night shivering like a broken refrigerator, doing absolutely nothing inappropriate. "The audacity," Yan muttered. She admitted she hadn't expected him to be that restrained. "I'm just built different," Lin Shang replied awkwardly. He added that if she looked as good in real life as her in-game avatar, he might have been tempted, but he wasn't into airplane girls. Yan's face became a visible confusion meme before she exploded. "I look exactly the same. Do I look like I'm asking for your financial support?" Realizing he had committed a blunder of unspeakable significance, Lin Shang made the smartest move possible. He stopped talking, got dressed, and suggested breakfast. Over food, they talked shop. With 4 buildings, Lin Shang wanted to save up Nitcoin before the next phase. "Wait for the patch," he essentially argued. Yan agreed, noting their attack range had expanded. Lin Shang activated his system, planning to upgrade his stage before the next offensive. Then came the real battle, the split. Yan asked for her daily cut. Lin Shang offered 1 coin for every 8. "Stingy," Yan cried, demanding an even 50-50 split. Lin Shang stood firm, explaining he needed to stabilize the economy and secure the territory first. He promised to increase her share by 1 coin for every 3 buildings they captured. Yan considered it. The math checked out. "Not a bad deal," she admitted. Lin Shang sincerely thanked her, admitting that without her, he'd be a level 1 corpse by now. "Take care of me from now on," he said. Yan smirked, telling him to just rely on her. As the good ending music played, the scene cut away to a shadowy industrial zone. Figures moved quietly near a factory in the dark. While they were celebrating their GG, the narrator's voice whispered, A new enemy approaches. Something new, and very bad, was already starting to stir. Inside a shady factory on the city's outskirts, workers moved like NPCs stuck in an infinite grind loop, operating heavy machinery in conditions that looked one HR complaint away from a harrowing Netflix documentary. The boss stormed through the floor holding a tablet like a villain with admin privileges, yelling at everyone to pick up the pace and warning that anyone who slowed down would watch their salary evaporate faster than a skipped lunch break. Suddenly, one worker's data flashed red on the screen. Almost on cue, the man collapsed as if his stamina bar had hit zero. Panic rippled through the line as he wheezed that he couldn't move, only for the boss to not even break stride. He coldly ordered his bodyguards to treat the man like literal trash and drag him into the storage room, sneering, "This is the way," before casually deleting the man's profile from his tablet. This instantly triggered the metal collar around the worker's neck to discharge electricity. The man screamed in agony and passed out, leaving the boss to look down in satisfaction and remark, "Perfectly balanced, as all things should be." The scene shifted to the storage room, where the worker lay on the floor like an exhausted animal. A bodyguard kicked him awake, grunting that the boss wanted to talk. As the worker coughed back to consciousness, he was calmly informed that his assets had gone negative, meaning the authorities were already en route to haul him away. The color drained from his face as he begged not to be sent to a blood-sweat factory, prompting the boss to offer one way out: become his dog. The worker instantly dropped all dignity, clinging to the boss's legs and agreeing to anything just to survive. He signed a contract handed over by a bodyguard without reading a single word, because in this economy, survival beats literacy. It was a pure guess I'll die moment. The boss walked away with a smile that didn't reach his eyes while the man was dragged off screaming, cutting sharply to a different part of the city where Lin Shang and Yan were walking side by side. Lin Shang pointed ahead, declaring it their next target. Yan scanned the area and immediately roasted it for being old, run down, and stuck in a previous patch, questioning what value this dump could possibly have. Lin Shang calmly mentioned it was the hub for 5 net coin-producing buildings, and Yan's mood flipped like someone had just mentioned legendary loot drops. Right then, a worker sprinted toward them, screaming Yan's online alias. Yan reacted on pure reflex, delivering a throat chop that would make a martial arts master proud, while Lin Shang immediately turned away, doing a perfect nothing to see here, just another Tuesday impression. The worker, however, bounced back up unfazed, as if he'd just popped a senzu bean, his fanboy energy at maximum. He gushed over her streamer name, declared his loyalty, and claimed he liked and bookmarked every post. Lin Shang lost it, teasing her with her online nickname until Yan punched him and told him to shut up. She then pivoted into full-on "it's a vibe" influencer mode. She thanked the fan, promised future vlogs, and agreed to a selfie before casually asking for a factory tour for her next vlog topic. The worker accepted like he'd just been knighted by royalty, and Lin Shang and Yan exchanged a silent victory sign because things were going way too smoothly. The fan explained he'd worked there 3 years and that the 5 factories belonged to a boss named GR2. The pay was high, but the workload was absolute brain rot. Yan pointed to a building that looked suspiciously new. The worker nervously warned that it was the boss's office, and that slacking off there meant a world of hurt. Suddenly, a shadow fell over them. A bodyguard appeared behind the fan and, without even letting him turn around, cursed loudly and kicked him straight in the face. The worker hit the ground in a single brutal strike, as the scene instantly switched genres from a cozy lo-fi stream to a John Wick sequel. The bodyguard sneered down at the worker crumpled on the floor, going full power trip mode. "Signing a new contract doesn't make you special," he spat. "You're still just a dog. This is not the promotion you were looking for." He turned his sights on Yan, demanding to know who she was and why she was loitering. The worker scrambled to explain she was a famous streamer, which only made the bodyguard laugh like he'd just heard a bad joke. He dismissed her as a bargain bin internet celebrity, stepping closer with an expression that set off every red flag in the manual. He suggested she entertain him for some unspecified benefits and reached out, only for Lin Shang to step in like a brick wall. "Don't," Lin Shang said simply. "We're just passing by, and now we're leaving." The bodyguard's face twisted with rage. "You're courting death," he roared, lunging forward. Lin Shang didn't wait for a second act, snapping a brutal kick straight into the man's face. It was a perfect cinematic callback to the earlier strike, delivering a very clear message: back off. At that exact moment, both Lin Shang and Yan felt the weight of a gaze and looked up to see the boss watching from a balcony. They didn't stick around to chat, they bailed instantly. Yan, running at a full tilt sprint, wheezed, "Your fighting skills are insane. You don't feel like a normal person at all. Sir, this is a Wendy's, or maybe a fight club." Lin Shang admitted he was just as confused, explaining that his body had moved on pure instinct, the training kicking in like a 10-second shonen power-up. They regrouped and had Gully project the map. They marked 3 major entrances and several infiltration paths, confirming that all 5 factories belonged to a single lord. One fight would decide the whole set. Lin Shang admitted the place felt wrong, like a dungeon with a hidden debuff, so they decided to wait 2 days to stockpile nitcoins. The last battle had taught him a harsh lesson. Mistakes were paid for in cash, and he was not about to go broke again. Fast forward to midnight. midnight. Lin Shang slipped into the factory's shadows, reporting his sector clear as Yan confirmed hers. They synced their systems and officially kicked off the override war, instantly triggering the boss's notification. The boss cursed, demanding to know who had the audacity to attack at midnight, and ordered his bodyguards to release the 3 dogs. "Let's get this bread," he added, but in the most violent way possible. Yan monitored the map while Lin Xiang reminded her to play the long-range support and hide well. Night combat was her meta after all. He entered the battlefield as a level 1 bone picker, 1,350 HP, 18 ATT, 3 DF, 8 AGI, with passives like Bone Collection, Boomerang, and Full Power Toss. He immediately pivoted to gathering ammo just as an archer fired. Dodge. Instant kill with a boomerang. Flawless victory. However, the resource management was a nightmare. He was only getting 2 bones per scan, even with support bonuses. He shattered incoming arrows mid-air with another throw, realizing this form was significantly slower than his elite bone version. It felt like his ping was spiking. Then, 2 figures stepped out of the darkness, calmly announcing that the boss had ordered Lin Shang's death. Lin Shang froze as a chilling realization hit him. This battlefield didn't have just one lord. Wait a minute, who are you people? The mission brief had just gone completely off the rails. Would you like me to analyze the stats of these 2 new mysterious lords to see if Lin Shang's bone picker build even stands a chance? As the 2 enemy minions closed in on Lin Shang, Yan suddenly vaulted onto the battlefield and instantly fired her swift shadow arrow. One minion staggered, but before she could reposition, a heavy blow slammed into her side, sending her reeling. When she turned to face her attacker, she froze. Hold up, she thought, the realization hitting her like a bad ping spike. Wait, that's illegal. Standing there with a cold, main villain expression was the factory worker who had just been her biggest fan. He demanded to know why she was really there, his voice devoid of any fanboy energy. Yan shot back, asking why he had joined the override war and if he was the actual lord of this dump. Her questions only made him snap. He shouted for her to stop dodging the truth before activating demon speech bondage. Restraining spells snaked around her arms, pinning her in place. As she struggled, he stepped into her personal space with a predatory glint in his eyes, muttering that she looked even better in-game, and that her avatar was far more alluring than he'd imagined. Yan tried to appeal to his humanity, reminding him that he'd been a decent man when they met. That single statement shattered what was left of his composure. "Shut up!" he screamed, his voice cracking with years of repressed rage. "I'm sick of being looked down on. This power, it's My Hero Academia. I'm the main character now, and I will never allow anyone to belittle me again." He unleashed a barrage of spells that tightened her restraints and began deleting her HP bar. Yan grunted with determination, forcing a burst of strength to break free at the last second. She fired another swift shadow arrow, but it was swallowed by a strange dark ability. Sensing the vibes were officially rancid, she prioritized a tactical retreat. The man didn't chase. He calmly deployed a healing totem, watching his HP climb back to full. He grinned, a cold, shark-like smile. "You can't escape," he shouted. "I'll find you. I have all the time in the world." Hiding in the shadows, Yan realized his build was a hybrid monster type, way more dangerous than a standard spirit shooter. She patched through to Lin Shang immediately. "Listen, they're using an exile lord. Despicable tactic," she hissed. "I already ran into the first one." Lin Shang grunted as he parried a heavy strike from his own opponents. "An exile lord? What? Like an expensive red shirt?" he asked. "I'm busy here dealing with the whole you shall not pass vibe from these 2 barbarian heroes." Yan explained that an exile lord was a disposable player, someone in their first war, exploited as a meat shield because only one lord could ultimately win. Once the true lord secured the bag, these exiles were deleted. She admitted quietly that she'd been forced into that role once before. Yan turned back to the worker, shouting that he was just a tool and that his boss would kill him the moment the war ended. "I don't need your concern," he screamed back. He claimed the boss promised to erase his debts if he won. For the first time in his miserable life, the power made him feel like he wasn't a background character. Yan warned him he was choosing death, but he dismissed her, saying he'd die anyway if he lost. He wanted to act for himself just once. "Everyone in this society is struggling to survive," Yan countered. "Stop talking," he roared. He pulled out a dark crystal core, a high-tier killing move bought with borrowed money. "Die for my sake," he cried, crushing the crystal in his palm. Sinister energy exploded through him. His muscles expanded violently, tearing through his clothes as he transformed into a massive giant radiating terrifying pressure. The form was straight out of an attack on Titan Nightmare. He smashed Yan aside with a colossal punch that sent her flying. She coughed blood, her HP plunging into the critical flashing red zone. The giant advanced, his shadow looming over her. Yan looked over at Lin Shang and calmly told him the rest was up to him. Then, she summoned her Ballista Sage crossbow. A massive, mechanical ballista manifested in front of her, making the giant hesitate for a split second. "All right, you brought this upon yourself," Yan declared, her eyes cold. "Fine, I'll do it myself." She triggered spiral-piercing arrow. The colossal bolt shrieked through the air, piercing straight through the giant's chest and shattering his model into a cloud of pixels. As he collapsed, he smiled faintly, whispering that living like this, even for a moment, had made him happy. Yan stood up, her voice trembling with a new, dark fury. She turned toward the factory office. Lin Shang, she declared, we are going to utterly crush the lord of this territory. On Lin Shang's side, the two minions had already been deleted from existence. Gone. Finished. Just like that one guy's career after a bad tweet. He stepped forward, and that's when the battlefield decided to pull a horror movie jump scare. A thick mist spread out like a fog machine from a low-budget Netflix thriller. Budget cuts, am I right? And then, something rose from the ground. Lin Shang's brain started buffering. Error 404, Lord not found. A massive plant-type weapon emerged, shaped like a grotesque giant flower, with vines twisting everywhere like it had escaped straight out of Little Shop of Horrors on steroids. Lin Shang's first thought wasn't even fear. It was, where did the actual Lord go? Did he just yeet himself out of the cutscene? Then a voice echoed from inside the plant, calm, lazy, and annoyed, asking if Lin Shang was looking for the Lord. A figure appeared for a split second and vanished. Lin Shang's pupils shrank. When the presence reappeared, the realization hit that thing was the Lord. Wait, that's illegal. The Lord's face slowly emerged from the giant flower like a cursed Pokemon evolution you definitely didn't ask for. He complained casually that he had been eating and didn't appreciate being disturbed mid-meal. I was vibing, Lin Shang. Now I'm not. Lin Shang immediately shifted into a combat stance. No talking. No drama. Cue epic anime theme song. The flower demon attacked and Lin Shang countered with the bones he had collected, throwing them clean and sharp. Hits landed, but every tentacle regenerated instantly. Must be the plot armor, Lin Shang muttered. His brain went full analyst mode. This wasn't a DPS check. It's a riddle wrapped in a mystery, inside an enigma. This was one of those bosses with hidden rules, like trying to figure out Dark Souls lore without a wiki, and acting dumb here would get him speedrun back to the respawn screen. Lin Shang hurled his boomerang at the flower. Bad move. The moment it hit, the Lord exploded in rage, screaming that he'd warned Lin Shang not to interrupt his meal. The flower bloomed violently, and the Lord fully emerged. He posed, the camera zooming in dramatically like a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure title card. He complimented his own handsome face and elegant body like he just stepped out of a villain fashion show. Main character energy is what I have, he declared. Lin Shang felt only pure, unfiltered disgust. Okay, boomer. Whatever this thing was, it was a narcissist and a nightmare. Without warning, the Lord attacked from behind. Several tentacles pierced Lin Shang's body and launched him through the air like a rag doll. Team rockets blasting off again. Lin Shang barely got back up and immediately contacted Yan, demanding to know what this creature was. Yan didn't hesitate. A level 2 lord. A blood-sucking flower demon. Lin Shang's body tensed. Gotta catch 'em all? He thought grimly. The Lord attacked again. Fast, brutal, almost lethal. My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined, Lin Shang thought. The enemy was faster, stronger, and completely relentless. Lin Shang activated a flower vine wall to defend, but the Lord just laughed, asking if Lin Shang seriously thought that was enough. You came at the king, you best not miss. Then he followed up with a rose missile. Lin Shang's HP started melting faster than expected. Panic hit. It was a classic, oh no, I'm stuck moment. The Lord appeared behind him again, and Lin Shang barely dodged. The battlefield turned into a sweaty lobby of non-stop pressure, attack, dodge, counter, retreat. Then the Lord suddenly stopped, smiled, and asked if Lin Shang had noticed something yet. Lin Shang checked his status panel and his heart dropped. His HP was draining. 1 point, every moment. A true trauma. Passive. Unavoidable. The flower demon laughed like he was watching a reaction compilation. I live for the chaos. He slammed Lin Shang to the ground again. Lin Shang threw his boomerang one more time, but he knew he was dead soon. Tell my friends I died like a legend. That's when he saw it. A pile of bones. 20, maybe 30, just sitting there. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. If he could collect all of them, this fight could flip. He contacted Yan, asking if she could stall the boss for 5 minutes. Yan checked herself, 17 HP. Barely standing. I'm at my limit, she cried. Lin Shang told her it was enough, he just needed 5 minutes, and reminded her, didn't you want to kill this bastard? Yan forced herself upright. She'd entrust her life to him, but warned him not to let her die. Hold my beer, Lin Shang promised. No hesitation. Yan rushed in. Lin Shang threw his boomerang. The boss snapped, mocking Lin Shang for throwing boomerangs like this was some 90s arcade game. The Lord charged and then sensed danger. An arrow cut past him. Yan had arrived. You picked the wrong house, fool. She told Lin Shang to hurry. The boss spun around, furious. When he saw Yan, he sneered, calling her Lin Shang's trump card. Is this your waifu? Yan stepped forward and accused him of using exile lords. Lin Shang didn't waste a second. He started collecting bones like a gremlin on a mission, playing a stressful game of Temple Run. The boss attacked Yan viciously, acknowledging she knew about the exiles. It's about drive. It's about power, he screamed, activating Blood Demon Shower. Tentacles rained down like meteors. Yan was overwhelmed, nearly killed. "I can't carry this anymore," she screamed, demanding to know if Lin Xiang was done yet. That's when the boss felt it. Something was wrong. He turned and saw Lin Xiang speed collecting bones like a madman going sicko mode. He lost it and rushed Lin Xiang. Lin Xiang dodged casually. "Just hold that thought," he said with a smirk. Yan kept firing arrows to keep the boss occupied. "Get in the robot, Lin Xiang." The flower demon cursed them both as annoying mosquitoes with no elegance. Yan flared back. The audacity. She told him someone that ugly had no right to talk about grace. A true mic drop moment. Then she unleashed Shadow Arrow Shower Assault. The boss dodged with terrifying speed and instantly appeared right in front of her. No distance, no warning. He looked down at her and said coldly that it was over. "You should have gone for the head." Yan froze. The blood-sucking flower demon stood directly before her, killing intent flooding the battlefield. And for the first time, the clock actually felt like it had run out. Just as the boss was about to deliver the final blow to Yan, full villain monologue energy. Absolute, this is the end moment. Lin Xiang appeared like a perfectly timed anime save. He casually apologized for being late, channeling pure "oops, I did it again" vibes. He then dropped the most disrespectful reveal possible. He had successfully collected 50 bones. The flower demon froze in genuine disbelief, his face a perfect "wait, that's a legal meme." The boss instantly lunged, but Lin Xiang didn't just counter. He unloaded the entire inventory at once. As his support technique activated, the 50 bones multiplied midair into 100, exploding forward from every direction like a final boss cutscene gone wrong. The One Punch Man barrage slammed into the demon non-stop. Vines wrapped around its body in a desperate defense but failed to stop the assault. Bones pierced, smashed, and shredded through the demon while his HP drained so fast it looked like a bugged health bar. The boss screamed that this was impossible, clearly not understanding the assignment, as the assault refused to end. Lin Xiang, with a cold, almost bored expression, firing another wave that dropped the demon's HP even faster. The boss was just staring ahead, like the dog in the "this is fine" meme, until the very last bone hit. The flower demon's HP slammed straight to zero, silencing the entire battlefield in an almost awkward calm. Lin Xiang finally exhaled, relaxed for the first time, and watched the boss collapse and fade into pixels. The demon's final mutter was one of pure disbelief. He never expected to lose to him. This was followed immediately by the system announcement declaring Lin Xiang the victor. Rewards started raining in, legendary loot drop, and territory domination was confirmed. Yan came sprinting over, throwing her arms around him in pure victory mode happiness as the fight finally, definitively, ended. While Lin Xiang and Yan were low-key soaking in their W like main characters after a season finale, the defeated boss was somewhere else doom-walking the streets, absolutely tilted, questioning his entire existence, and wondering how on earth he got folded by a literal level 1 lord. Like bro really ran into a hidden boss when he thought it was a tutorial mob. One of his minions, shaking like a Discord mod caught in daylight, nervously suggested they kidnap more workers to regen strength, but the boss shut that down instantly, saying if they grabbed anyone else there'd be nobody left to work, which was honestly the most broke villain problem ever. So he coped by telling himself he still had other territories, at least for now, pure "this is fine" meme energy, until his inner monologue got hard interrupted when he noticed 3 figures blocking his path like an Avengers Assemble moment but evil, and one of them straight up mocked him for losing to a level 1 lord and still daring to think he was worthy of joining them, which made the boss panic so hard he tried speed explaining that the boy was built different and not normal at all. But before he could finish the sentence, the woman among the 3 blinked in and one-tapped him without hesitation. No speech, no mercy, straight anime execution, leaving his minion frozen in shock, screaming like a background NPC, only to get instantly silenced when the woman coldly ordered him to shut up. And just like that, with the lord dead, all his territories instantly went neutral like a server reset, after which the masked man casually opened his system and claimed everything for himself as if he was just clicking accept all rewards, and as rain started falling for cinematic effect, the scene cut back to Lin Xiang and Yan sitting quietly in a restaurant, eating together like nothing insane just happened, full slice of life after chaos vibes, until Lin Xiang casually asked why Yan seemed to know so much about the exiled lord, and she calmly flipped the script by asking if he really wanted to hear the story. And when he said yes and told her to go ahead, she paused, clearly about to drop some lore that felt way deeper than anyone was ready for. Yan finally opened up and went full flashback mode, saying that back in her university days, she dreamed of becoming a top-tier travel streamer, the kind living that soft life aesthetic with sunsets, cafes, and cinematic vlogs that look like a Studio Ghibli background. So she went interview hopping through MCN organizations like it was a job speedrun any percent run, and after grinding hard, she actually got picked, started vlogging seriously. Her fans kept increasing, edits got cleaner, hustle got real, until her manager straight up sold her out for a contract like she was just another Excel cell, which she instantly rejected because that kind of deal was beyond vile. Pure corporate villain arc behavior. After that, the company basically erased her existence, hid her away like she was shadow banned IRL, then slapped her with a contract breach excuse and demanded insane compensation. Peak "we own you" energy. And she said she later heard about the override war from her boss, who sold it as an easy money loophole where officials wouldn't catch her. But in reality, they treated it like a chessboard and her like a disposable pawn. And the only thing she still had was Gary, which she said while glancing at her drone like it was her ride-or-die partner since day one. Lin Sheng, visibly shaken, admitted that after hearing all that it made total sense why she couldn't let go of that hatred. Because experiences like that don't become memories, they become scars, and Yan immediately snapped back, asking if he thought she was stupid in a society like this, saying that if she had been willing to sell herself and sacrifice her body, she could have made ridiculous money, but she chose not to, and that choice mattered more than any number. And without hesitation, Lin Sheng grabbed her hand and told her she wasn't wrong at all, saying that even if he wasn't qualified to judge her life, he genuinely believed she made the right call. And for a brief moment, everything felt warm and quiet, like that rare calm anime scene right before the next arc explodes. Yan brushed it off with an all right, instantly switching back to business mode, which reminded Lin Sheng to ask how she even got Gary, because that drone was insanely cracked, and she just smirked and called it a trade secret, leaving him disappointed but respectful, before getting serious and saying the opponents in the override war were all different. So what was his next move? To which Lin Sheng replied that fighting solo was way too risky, especially after yesterday's battle where they were clearly at a disadvantage against another lord, and if someone with a much higher lord level showed up, things would spiral fast. And when Yan asked if he already had someone in mind to merge with, Lin Sheng calmly said that he did, dropping the line so clean it felt like the screen fading to black while hype music kicked in. After wrapping up his talk with Yan, Lin Sheng casually stepped aside and dialed Chen Guo, who picked up sounding mildly surprised, joking that he never thought Lin Sheng would be the one to initiate contact first, to which Lin Sheng replied that he'd always wanted to try but didn't expect Chen Guo to still be using the same number, earning a dry response that not everyone vanished for long stretches like Lin Sheng did. Peak, "Where have you been, bro?" energy. And when Lin Sheng asked where he was because he needed help, Chen Guo simply said he'd send his location, no extra words, very boss-like. Not long after, Lin Sheng and Yan pulled up at the Chen Alliance building and stood before its entrance like they were walking into a mafia arc. And inside the lift, Yan asked who they were meeting, only for Lin Sheng to hit her with the classic "you'll see soon," which is never not ominous. And once they reached the destination, Lin Sheng opened the door immediately and greeted the man inside, commenting that they'd met again pretty quickly, while Chen Guo cut straight to business and asked why he was there, prompting Yan to react in surprise upon recognizing him. And Lin Sheng bluntly said that since Chen Guo already knew he'd joined the override war, there was no point beating around the bush, and directly asked if he was willing to work together. Chen Guo glanced at Yan, said he understood the situation just by seeing her, but still asked how Lin Sheng planned to cooperate, and Lin Sheng explained that he wanted Chen Guo to join their alliance like before, combining Chen Guo's brainpower with his own abilities, which made Chen Guo laugh as he stepped closer and asked why Lin Sheng was still the same, pointing out that he'd already proven in the last battle that he could win on his own, and even had his family backing him, so why should he join? Which made Yan snap and scold him for acting so arrogant when Lin Sheng had personally come to invite him, only for Lin Sheng to stop her and calmly ask Chen Guo what he really thought. Chen Guo then dropped a bomb, saying he'd help only if Lin Sheng got rid of her, blaming her interference in the last battle for his defeat. And as Lin Sheng stepped closer and mentioned that he had a friend, Chen Guo's face suddenly went pale, like he'd just seen a ghost, making Yan notice a strange bright light and ask what it was, after which Chen Guo immediately stood up, apologized to Yan, and said he only wanted to regain the pride he'd lost last time, before grabbing Lin Sheng by the arm and ranting that Lin Sheng hadn't given him any face at all, causing Lin Sheng to complain that it actually hurt, turning the tension into a weirdly comedic bro moment. Once things cooled down, they sat around a round table where Chen Guo finally explained the real reason he couldn't join the alliance was the Chen family's rules, since his family would never agree to it, though he could still help Lin Sheng as long as it didn't affect the family or slow his own progress, prompting Lin Sheng to ask why the Chen family was still expanding despite already being massive, to which Chen Guo replied that since the override war began, traditional industries and capital were basically cosmetic skins, their only edge being starting net coins, and if they didn't expand, they'd be swallowed by other lords, erasing everything their ancestors built, with Yan adding that in the override war, no one was truly rich or poor, because strength decided everything, and Chen Guo continuing that most participants, big or small, sought cooperation with larger organizations for protection or power, and the Chen family was no different. Just then, Chen Guo received a notification saying his guests had arrived and ordered them to be let in, which made Lin Sheng say they'd leave for now since he was busy, reminding him of what he'd said and suggesting they talk another day. But as Lin Shang and Yan approached the lift, three figures appeared before them. The same woman and the two masked men who had previously killed the Lord, ending the scene with pure cliffhanger energy like the screen freezing right before the ending theme hits. As Lin Shang and Yan brushed past the three figures, Yan suddenly got hit with that spine-chilling danger sense like a horror movie character who just realized the background music stopped, and she instantly turned around, her face going pale like she'd seen a ghost. Then inside the lift she went dead silent, which obviously set off Lin Shang's internal alarm bells, so he calmly asked if she was okay. And in a low, shaky voice she explained that the Chen family had ties with special matchmakers, and that the three people they just passed were helpers of the Zhu clan, the same people who had almost ended her before, and as she spoke she was literally trembling while gripping Lin Shang's shirt like it was her last HP bar. Lin Shang asked her to explain who the Zhu clan was and who those three were, and after a brief pause she revealed that the Zhu clan was led by a manager named Zhu Clan who had betrayed her in the past, and those three were his hired monsters: Special Matchmaker, Canine Teeth, Tiger Tooth, and Bake. Basically a squad that sounded like anime mini-bosses. And after hearing that, Lin Shang immediately went firm mode, telling her she needed to leave first and that they'd talk later, straight up pushing her out of the lift despite her protests, while she anxiously warned him not to do anything stupid and demanded to know what he was planning, only for him to dodge the answer like a true protagonist. As Yan stepped out, she said she'd go but insisted on knowing his plan, and Lin Shang told her he'd explain everything after he returned and ordered her to go back to the hotel first, prompting Yan to contact Gully and instruct him to wipe Lin Shang's presence from the building's CCTV, which Gully instantly understood and executed, making Lin Shang straight up vanish from the surveillance like he'd unlocked stealth mode. Meanwhile, Chen Guo met the three visitors, and one of them coldly remarked that the Chen family didn't seem sincere for sending a disgraced son to deal with them, to which Chen Guo shot back that Organization B had failed to provide any useful people this time, instantly angering one of them who accused him of courting death, until one masked man stepped forward and casually suggested keeping things civil since this was supposed to be a business meeting, prompting Chen Guo to respectfully address him as Mr. Du and acknowledge him as a sincere gentleman. Mr. Du warned Chen Guo not to overstep and said they could recommend the Chen family to Zhu clan only if 3 territories were handed over as payment, asking if he even had the authority to decide that, and Chen Guo replied that his father had stepped aside and he was now fully in charge, but could only offer 2 territories, which the masked man rejected instantly, declaring there would be no negotiation before turning to leave, causing Chen Guo to hurriedly call out and ask them to wait, insisting talk shouldn't end like this and requesting to speak directly with Madame Zhu, only for Mr. Du to turn back coldly and repeat that there would be no negotiation, warning Chen Guo not to mess up since his father clearly had high expectations, and telling him to wait for their call before walking away. As they left, the woman suddenly sensed something off passing by her, while Lin Shang, hidden behind a sofa nearby, stayed perfectly still like a clutch stealth mission, and only after they were gone did he finally stand up, relieved that it had been way too close and he'd nearly been discovered, and without wasting a second, he quietly exited the Chen family building and headed straight back to the hotel, ending the moment with pure, mission, barely successful energy. After getting back to the room, Yan barely sat down before firing questions at Lin Shang about what he'd done earlier and why he'd suddenly gone full mysterious protagonist mode. But before she could keep going, Lin Shang stepped in, firmly held her shoulders, and while she started trembling like a character who just unlocked a bad ending route, he calmly dropped the nuke by saying they were going to get rid of Zhu clan, which made her stumble back in shock and call him insane, reminding him that Zhu clan was backed by a massive consortium, only for Lin Shang to just smile like a man who already saw the end credits and pull up a mini-map in front of her, first showing their current location, and then zooming it out to highlight the Bay Area like a villain reveal scene straight out of an anime war arc. Yan stared at the map in disbelief and said Zhu clan was in the Bay Area, which Lin Shang confirmed before explaining that he'd already cut a deal with Chen Guo. Information on Zhu clan in exchange for helping Chen Guo secure 3 territories, specifically ones with 3 Nitcoin buildings, and as Yan studied the marked zone she suddenly got hit with deja vu, quickly ordering the system to display the seaside terrain formation, where a hologram popped up and instantly reminded her that she'd once taken photos there for a photo book, prompting Lin Shang to tease her about whether that shoot involved a travel agent in costumes, which made Yan explode and angrily deny it, insisting the outfits weren't revealing, forcing Lin Shang into instant damage control as he claimed he never said that and smoothly redirected the convo by asking if she knew the terrain well, to which she confidently said yes. Lin Shang then laid out the plan like a strategy YouTuber breaking down a boss fight, helped Chen Guo occupy the seaside area and secure base control, then move from there to the opposite shore, which was way closer to the Bay Area. But he also pointed out the huge issue. Their current territory wasn't connected to the target zone, making a direct attack impossible, until right on cue his phone rang, and Chen Guo informed him that things were already in motion and that by next Monday he'd help them occupy 4 connected territories near the seaside, after which everything would be on Lin Shang and Yan Yan, and Lin Shang agreed, saying they'd start the attack the very next day, but stressed they couldn't rush this because this wasn't a button-mashing fight, it was a big-brain chess match. What he didn't know was that someone had been watching the entire thing unfold as his sister quietly turned off the live feed and walked away like a shadowy observer in a K-drama, entered another family member's room, and calmly remarked that the family's young eagle had finally spread his wings, earning a mildly intrigued response that mentioned Lin Shang by name and noted that he sounded surprisingly interesting, setting the vibe perfectly for the next arc. The next morning kicked off like a full-blown war arc as Lin Shang, Yan, and Chen Guo launched an assault to seize a new territory, with Lin Shang's skeleton army rolling in like a spooky Avengers assemble. Yan's archers raining arrows like a Lord of the Rings battlefield, and Chen Guo leading his own troops with CEO in a suit confidence. And the scale was so insane that when the dust finally settled, the defeated lord stepped forward and started begging Lin Shang for mercy, saying he'd only just started the game and needed the money for his dates. Peak bro, I just wanted dinner energy. To which Lin Shang calmly replied that people like him were everywhere and that plenty were no different from himself. That's when the vibe snapped, because the lord suddenly whipped out a massive blade, screamed that Lin Shang had forced his hand, and charged, only for Lin Shang to instantly dodge and unleash his bleed strike. Moving so fast it felt like a demon slayer cut, ending the fight in a single explosive burst of blood, after which the system announced Lin Shang's victory, rewards dropped, and Metal finished occupying the territory, while Lin Shang quietly reflected that he too had joined the game for money in the first place. Riding back in the car like nothing happened, Lin Shang checked his system and noted they were now just one territory away from fully linking the area, having already secured 3, but that night, in a dark, ominous spot straight out of a villain meeting scene, 3 Zhu clan members sat around a mini-map, with one noting how absurdly active Lin Shang was for expanding into 3 territories so fast, even if some only had 1 building, while the woman admitted he was impressive and undefeated, causing the man to get hyped and say he wanted to fight Lin Shang at least once, only for the masked man to shut that down, reminding him that special matchmakers weren't supposed to seek fights and telling him to chill, which earned him mockery from the woman, instantly triggering his battle maniac rage as he pulled a dagger with bloodshot eyes and threatened to kill her on the spot, until the masked man stopped the chaos before it exploded. The masked man then dropped the real info, pointing out that the old city area only had 11 territories and yet a single low-level lord already controlled 6, and ordered Zenuna and Leo, the woman and the man, to approach Lin Shang and see if they could persuade him to join their side, a mission they both accepted before leaving. And the very next morning fate went wild when Zenuna was hanging near a sidewalk and suddenly ran straight into Yan, both freezing like a Spider-Man pointing meme as recognition hit, with Zenuna remembering Yan from Chance Industry and Yan instantly clocking her as a special matchmaker and thinking about sprinting back to warn Lin Shang. As Yan tried to leave, Zenuna grabbed her hand and told her to wait. Yan shook free and demanded what she was doing, only for Zenuna to calmly activate her power and say that Yan being a lord actually made things easier, prompting Yan to take a defensive stance and warn that they were in public and starting a war that would knock them both unconscious. But Zenuna dismissed it as noise and attacked anyway, officially igniting their battle as the scene snapped into pure action mode. Yan and Zenuna stood locked in a face-off that screamed, "This is about to go very wrong," and Yan instantly clocked the danger when she realized Zenuna wasn't some random mob but a ranked hero, the level 2 enslavement queen herself, basically a mini-boss with DLC powers. And the moment Zenuna cracked her whip and coldly summoned her dog slaves, the street flooded with ferocious beasts encircling Yan like a horror game ambush, making Yan instantly realize the terrain was absolutely not in her favor. Without wasting a second, Zenuna ordered the dogs to rip her apart, and they charged like a pack straight out of Resident Evil, forcing Yan's archers to snap into action as she shouted for full fire support while retreating, arrows raining down as she pulled back, only for Zenuna to yawn internally and mock the tactic as boring before casually looking away like she was watching filler content. Yan seized that split-second opening and fired a swift shadow arrow straight at Zenuna. But Zenuna dodged it effortlessly with a slight movement, no diff, leaving Yan stunned by her speed just in time to see her spirit archers getting brutally torn apart by the slave dogs, prompting Zenuna to mock her and tell her to run, because the hunt was officially starting, Predator style. Yan bolted toward a rocky area, her thoughts racing as she realized that if this kept going she was 100% dead, so she immediately ordered Gully to find Lin Shang, who acknowledged and flew off instantly like a clutch sidekick, while Yan ducked behind a rock to dodge incoming attacks, only for Zenuna to close in and command her slaves to split up and search, turning the whole place into a nightmare maze. But that chaos gave Yan her opening as she burst out, dropped 2 smaller beasts in rapid shots, and finished a third without hesitation. She then shifted her focus to Zenuna, who was shielded behind two massive werewolf-like dog slaves, snarling in rage over their fallen companions, making Zenuna finally realize she'd underestimated Yan. And right then, a terrifying rain of arrows fell from above at insane speed, forcing Zenuna to react instantly by snapping her whip and activating fearless slavery on the two beasts, driving them into a blood-crazed frenzy as they hunted wildly for Yan. Just when it seemed Yan might slip through again, chains suddenly wrapped around her body, freezing her completely in place as Zenuna walked closer and calmly announced it was the forbidden curse of enslavement. And trapped like this, Yan bitterly realized how broken ranked heroes were with 4 starting skills, making them absolute nightmares to fight. And as the danger closed in, one desperate thought echoed in her mind louder than everything else. Why hadn't Lin Shang arrived yet? As the fight raged on, Zenuna fired off her ravaging pierce at Yan, like she was about to end the episode right there. But plot armor activated because Lin Shang had already entered the battlefield, and with one glance, he flipped on his observation like a gamer opening enemy stats, instantly seeing that Zenuna had 2400 HP, 35 attack, 17 defense, and 15 agility, which made him internally scream because yeah, Rank 2 heroes really were built different with 4 starting skills, so he silently prayed his next move would cover for his very obvious lack of raw damage. He launched an analysis bug to get more intel, only for one of Zenuna's slave dogs to instantly chomp it out of existence, causing Zenuna to mock the attempt while scanning the area. And that's when she spotted Lin Shang charging straight at her like a shonen protagonist who skipped the tutorial, drawing his sword and slashing in, chaining it into a rapid flurry of consecutive strikes. Each one narrowly dodged as Zenuna leapt and twisted through the air with insane agility, no diffing him like a Souls boss. But the moment she landed, Lin Shang pressed again, forcing her to redirect one of her slave dogs to intercept him in the messy terrain, even earning a casual compliment from her for his movement. Using that opening, Lin Shang dashed to Yan, sliced through the chains binding her, and told her to leave immediately because he'd handle Zenuna himself. And even though Yan hesitated and warned him that Zenuna was a rank 2 hero and way stronger than him, Lin Shang simply said he was ready, making her finally retreat while telling him to be careful. Pure, I trust you anime energy. Now alone, Lin Shang pointed his sword at Zenuna and declared it was just the two of them, but Zenuna replied by summoning more slave beasts, 2 or 3 massive werewolf-like dogs, and whipping them with fearless slavery, sending them into a berserk frenzy as she ordered them to tear him apart, immediately following up by casting her forbidden enslavement curse. And just like that, chains wrapped around Lin Shang's body, mirroring what Yan had suffered moments earlier, as the dogs lunged and bit into him, making him curse her out in rage. Then, out of nowhere, the shackles shattered and vanished, Lin Shang's face twisting with fury as he surged forward and unleashed brutal bleeding strikes, cutting down the attacking slave dogs one by one, and leaving Zenuna staring in disbelief as she realized her control time had ended way too fast. And with pure vengeance in his eyes, Lin Shang charged at her, declaring it was his turn now and raising his sword to strike, only for a sudden unseen attack to pierce straight through him, leaving a massive hole in his body so fast he didn't even process it before his virtual form collapsed to the ground. And as Zenuna calmly looked down at him, she dropped the coldest line yet, saying she never claimed she was fighting alone, revealing that someone else had been helping her from the shadows the entire time. Lin Shang now found himself staring down the worst possible patch update, facing 2 enemies at once, Zenuna and another young guy sent in by the masked figure, who immediately got annoyed and asked Zenuna why she was taking so long with someone this weak. And when she didn't even bother replying, his face went cold as he announced it was time for a slaughter, making Lin Shang's hands tremble as he tightened his grip on his sword and realized with pure dread that this newcomer was probably another rank 2 hero, because of course the game said double it and give it to you. As Zenuna and the boy charged together, the boy let out a deafening roar like a Dragon Ball power-up scream while they unleashed their killing moves. And Lin Shang thought he might still react, only for their attacks to pass him in an instant, too fast to even register, slamming him into the ground as the brutal truth hit. This was the real power of rank 2 heroes, and he was completely outclassed. Lying there, he heard the boy mock him as trash and say he was a waste of expectations, while Zenuna casually said she was leaving and that the rest was up to him. Waving goodbye like this was a routine errand, leaving the boy laughing maniacally as he loomed over Lin Shang gripping his weapon. Moments later, the system hit him with the coldest notification possible, telling him he'd failed to defend the territory and lost ownership, yanking his consciousness back to reality, where he woke up drenched in sweat and tears, the weight of defeat crushing down on him until he forced himself to breathe when he heard Yan panicking outside the door, repeatedly asking if he was okay. When Lin Shang finally opened the door, Yan immediately asked how the battle ended, and he could only turn away and show her the minimap, silently confirming the loss, making Yan realize that the second enemy was the real checkmate, and she rushed forward to hug him, apologizing softly like it was her fault. But before the moment could linger, Lin Shang got a call from Chen, who'd noticed a territory had been taken and asked what happened, and after Lin Xiang explained that the special matchmaker group had ambushed him and cost him the territory, Chen Guo told him not to lose heart, reminding him that losing was normal, that he still had other territories, and that comebacks were always possible, before dropping one last line like a post-credit teaser. This time, he'd be bringing Lin Xiang a helper. After the fight wrapped up, Yan mentally side-eyed the system, wondering how she had already taken down 5 whole squads and still hadn't gotten the victory notification. Like, bro, do your job. But before she could finish that thought, another enemy casually showed up, announcing that she had been curious why the territory hadn't been occupied and had ended up leveling up because of it, acting like this was a free XP buffet. And then Zenuna popped off with full villain energy, mocking her for still being a newbie and declaring that leveling up wouldn't save her from dying, before dramatically ordering her so-called slave dogs to bite Yan to death as if this were some low-budget anime boss fight, to which Yan instantly clapped back in her head that if she was really the same or not, Zenuna should just find out the hard way, immediately launching an emerald wheel slash straight at her, forcing Zenuna to panic cast enslavement, followed by the enslavement forbidden curse, which Yan clocked instantly and countered without hesitation by firing a charm-infused willpower attack that made Zenuna think it was over for her, only for Yan to mentally go, nah, my turn now, and unleash another emerald wheel slash, prompting Zenuna to rapidly calculate the risk and activate fearless slavery on her pets, like a desperate patch update. But in the next blink-and-you-miss-it moment, Yan had already dashed past Zenuna, landing countless slashes on both the pets and Zenuna herself like a human blender on max settings, causing Zenuna to collapse to her knees and bitterly admit that Yan had become unexpectedly strong, before immediately rage-activating Sadism Burst and transforming into a full-on monster, flexing that everyone who had ever seen this form had died, only for Yan to calmly declare that she'd be the first to survive while pointing her sword straight at Zenuna like a protagonist with plot armor DLC installed. And as the two locked eyes and charged in fury, Yan slashed and Zenuna caught the blade mid-strike, but Yan instantly backflipped to save her sword and followed up with Emerald Moon. Emerald Moon Rising Dragon Slash, flashing past Zenuna and reappearing behind her to land the final New Moon Razor Slash, ending the fight right there as Zenuna collapsed to the ground like a dead-ass body, motionless and absolutely not getting a sequel. Finally, when Zenuna barely managed to stay upright on her knees, she realized with pure panic that if this dragged on any longer she was absolutely cooked, because her H-bar was basically on life support, so in desperation she summoned 3 of her remaining slaves like a boss spamming summons in the last 1% HP phase, but Yan instantly flashed in front of her and dismissed them as useless trash mobs, which made Zenuna panic even harder as she hurriedly ordered her slaves to block Yan, while she straight up chose the ancient technique of running away, causing Yan to snap internally and shout that Zenuna was really trying to escape like this, but Zenuna didn't even look back and coldly activated A029's stop program, revealing a drone that looked suspiciously like Gully. And the moment the program went live, Zenuna vanished from the battlefield like a rage-quitting villain mid-fight, while Yan, already locked in combat mode, sliced through the remaining slaves without mercy, only to suddenly receive the long-awaited notification announcing war victory and successful territory defense, making her blurt out that she had won, before a chilling realization hit her like a delayed lag spike, as she wondered if Zenuna also had a Gully, instantly rejecting that thought and urgently ordering her own Gully to go find its friend, who turned out to be Yan, while elsewhere, Zenuna lost her mind, violently throwing a chair and swearing that she would definitely kill that girl, only for the masked man to calmly point out that Yan was only level 1 and logically couldn't have reached level 3 in such a short time, which Zenuna ignored completely as she demanded more money on the spot because logic was optional and revenge was mandatory, just as her teammate rushed in telling her to calm down, prompting the masked man to note that Lin Xiang hadn't appeared in any of the recent fights at all and might have already abandoned the territory after handing over all his resources to Yan, making Zenuna's teammate finally connect the dots about her rapid leveling, only for the masked man to ask the real question of where Lin Xiang had gone, to which Zenuna desperately begged for one more chance to kill Yan and reclaim the territory, but was immediately shut down as the masked man snapped that super matches weren't for childish tantrums and that she couldn't beat Yan anymore anyway, leading Zenuna's teammate to volunteer himself, only to be redirected by the masked man, who reasoned that if Lin Xiang had really given away all his resources, then his stats must now be empty, making him the real target, and ordered the boy to investigate Lin Xiang's whereabouts and eliminate him, declaring that without Lin Xiang, Yan's defense wouldn't matter no matter how hard she tried, which made the boy clench his fist like a classic anime henchman, swear loyalty, promise good news, and immediately dash off to hunt Lin Xiang down. Somewhere else, Lin Xiang got a call from Yan, who casually reported that the base had been attacked by a super matchmaker, but told him to relax because she had everything locked down like a final boss babysitting a tutorial zone, then asked when he planned to come back. To which Lin Xiang calmly replied that she'd have to keep guarding the base for now since his side was going smoothly, and he'd already occupied a decent chunk of empty territory, promising he'd return by next month, after which he stood in front of a row of tall buildings and thought that once he cleared this town, the next stop would be the Bay Area. So he plopped onto a nearby bench, opened his system window, and realized the resources here were trashed here at best, leaving him with just 25 net coins, which made him decide to upgrade himself like a responsible RPG protagonist. And the moment he spent them and the system glowed, reality lagged hard, and he suddenly found himself inside a bustling marketplace, making him mutter why the place was so lively, like it was Black Friday every day, completely unaware that someone was tailing him. So he casually asked a shopkeeper if there was some event going on, only to be told that he clearly wasn't local, that the area had recently improved thanks to its proximity to a famous region and tourism had popped off, which made Lin Shang ask if he meant the Bay Area, earning an enthusiastic yes and a mental note from Lin Shang that this coincidence worked perfectly. After which he asked for the location of the Bay Area's Bradstar Brokerage Company and was immediately pointed toward the biggest landmark building around, prompting him to head there while eating a burger like nothing in the world could go wrong, until he accidentally bumped into a girl, dropped his food, and heard her apologize repeatedly, which he brushed off before suddenly sensing something off and speeding away, weaving through crowds, ducking into an empty street, and finally thinking he'd shaken whoever was following him, only to wonder what that person's motive even was just as the massive building came into view, when the stalker instantly appeared in front of him like a scripted jump scare, causing Lin Shang to shout in disbelief because standing there was Zenuna's teammate, who greeted him like an old acquaintance and revealed that he had been following Lin Shang the entire time, patiently hunting him down like a side quest that finally reached its objective. Lin Shang stared at the boy and straight up yelled that the guy was insane for following him all the way here, only for the boy to casually confirm, with zero shame, that yes, he had come specifically to kill him, which made Lin Shang sarcastically ask whether they were some kind of special matchmaker squad or Zenuna's leftover underling, to which the boy shrugged and basically said Zenuna was irrelevant because Lin Shang was the only target that mattered, prompting Lin Shang to side-eye him like, "Nah, I'm not doing this here," and immediately bolt, while the boy calmly activated his system and announced that since Lin Shang had started running, the hunt could officially begin, triggering the battlefield to deploy instantly like an unwanted PvP invite, forcing Lin Shang to think fast because spawning in the same spot would be suicide. So while being dragged into the battlefield space, he activated his system, locked onto a location, and mentally declared that he'd use this guy to deal with him, and seconds later both of them stood facing each other inside the battlefield, where Lin Shang mocked it as his favorite kind of arena, while the boy, dressed like a full military cosplayer, remarked that Lin Shang had clearly leveled up too, and without another word they rushed at each other with pure rage. The boy opening with a penetrating thrust attack that Lin Shang calmly analyzed, smiled at, dodged, and slipped past to land a clean ghost blade strike from behind, which barely scratched the boy and earned Lin Shang a lecture about weak attacks, until Lin Shang casually activated his skill and unleashed a relentless combo that started melting the boy's HP like a bad investment, dropping it non-stop until it hit 3, only for Lin Shang to roast him by saying it took him way too long to realize the battle was already ending, which pushed the boy into screaming mode as he swore he wouldn't lose to someone like Lin Shang and activated his Centaurus skill, transforming into a half-man, half-horse like a mythological DLC unlock, earning a dry comment from Lin Shang that he hadn't even bothered changing species properly, before the Centaur boy charged up his tyrannical chariot skill and bragged that its power scaled with speed and distance, laughing like he'd already won, while Lin Shang just stood there smiling, snapped his fingers like a villain with premium control, and instantly warped the entire battlefield into strange rippling waves that locked the Centaur in place, as massive phantom hands burst from the terrain and grabbed onto him, causing him to look around in horror and shout a very confused, very panicked "what?" as his boss fight confidence evaporated in real time. As the massive hands burst from the ground and dragged the boy downward like the floor itself had decided to cancel him, he screamed asking what the hell this was, while Lin Shang calmly explained, like he was reading patch notes, that the skill was called Hopeless Advice stacked 10 times, triggering Quagmire for 10 seconds, locking movement, tracking the target, dealing 50 damage every 2 seconds, and instantly executing if the target's HP dropped below 10%, which made the boy finally understand why it felt so oppressive and bitterly admit that Lin Shang's aura reminded him of Mr. Du, warning as he sank that Lin Shang wouldn't survive long even after killing him, because Mr. Du would definitely come looking for him, to which Lin Shang casually replied that he'd be looking forward to that visit, and right as the battlefield faded, the system popped up announcing Lin Shang as the victor and officially naming him the Lord of the Empty Territory, after which reality resumed and the defeated boy stood up in shock, looked around like someone waking from a bad VR session, and angrily kicked a trash can, While over at the harbor area, Lin Shang immediately called Yan and told her he'd found Zukan's base, making her freeze in disbelief and ask why he was at the harbor when she thought he'd just be grabbing empty territories, prompting Lin Shang to remind her that he had promised to help her get rid of Zukan and intended to keep that promise, which made Yan blush hard and admit she never thought he'd remember, sincerely thanking him before Lin Shang confirmed she could hear him, and added the good news that the empty territory sat right next to the harbor with nothing but sea and beach, meaning it wouldn't look suspicious even if nobody stayed there, then casually dropped the insane fact that the harbor area alone had 17 Nitcoin buildings and only 3 territories, making it absurdly resource-rich, low-maintenance, and easy to defend, explaining exactly why Zukan had chosen it as his base, which made Yan ask what the next move was, only for Lin Shang, sipping his drink like this was brunch planning, to ask her to come help him deal with Zukan today, since she'd said she wanted to kill him personally, leading her to worry about their base until Lin Shang reassured her that he'd already arranged help to guard it, and told her to open the map, where she was shocked to see that only 2 surrounding buildings were owned by Go, asking when that even happened, and Lin Shang coolly explained that anyone trying to invade them would have to occupy Ghost territory first, and realistically, who would dare provoke the Chen family in the old city area? Which left Yan genuinely impressed that he'd thought that far ahead, agreeing to pack her bags, asking for the coordinates, and just as the call ended, Lin Shang's assisting lady arrived in her usual dramatic, stylish fashion, right on cue like a cinematic entrance. After some time, Yan finally arrived in style on a yacht, and soon Yan, the lady, and Lin Shang were all cruising toward their destination, with Yan laughing like this was a long-awaited revenge vacation and joking that it was finally time for her date with Zukan. While the lady coolly pulled down her sunglasses, Lin Shang casually took a seat like he was boarding a luxury raid and told everyone to move out, triggering the system as Yan announced she'd listen to his plan this time, and the lady added that she'd already agreed to cooperate too, calling him boy for dramatic effect. To which Lin Shang replied that they would proceed exactly as planned and wipe out that Zukan bastard, while elsewhere Zukan was chilling with a girl and his assistant when a notification hit him saying the override war had been activated and his territory was under attack, prompting him to order battle preparations as the girl beside him told the assistant to drag in a few exiled lords as backup, and once the battlefield deployed, the charming lady beside Lin Shang suddenly turned into a literal kid, confusing everyone as she complained it was her first time seeing a spellground, leaving Lin Shang and Yan staring in shock and demanding to know who she really was, only for her to strike a cute pose and reveal she was Vincent, explaining she had altered her limbs and appearance to hide her identity, which left both of them internally screaming but moving on quickly as Vincent calmly declared she'd stick to the plan and take the left. Yan said she'd go right, and the center was Lin Shang's responsibility, after which Lin Shang summoned his battle horse and charged forward like a fantasy action protagonist on caffeine, hyping the horse up as they blasted through the forest while his eyes scanned the terrain, narrowly dodging 2 sudden charm attacks before an arrow shower came crashing down, forcing him to activate a barrier mid-gallop and push forward anyway, until he finally encountered the enemy forces and realized Zukan had way more manpower than expected, making him think that breaking through fast was the only way to reach the boss himself, just as a voice welcomed him arrogantly and challenged which reckless kid dared to attack, revealing Zukan himself, prompting Lin Shang to dismount and confirm his identity as they locked eyes, Zukan looking like some ancient emperor straight out of a historical drama, while elsewhere both Vincent and Yan found themselves surrounded by enemies, and back at the center, Lin Shang calmly activated his power in front of Zukan, signaling that the real fight was about to begin. Standing right in front of Zukan, Lin Shang calmly spoke into his earpiece that he'd encountered Zukan along with a whole pack of exiled lords and asked how things were on the other fronts, to which Yan replied mid-fight that she also had a few exiled lords on her side, but they were all low-level nobodies, immediately proving her point by slicing 2 of them apart with an emerald wheel slash and casually saying she'd come help once she was done, while Vincent chimed in that she too was surrounded but found them painfully boring, spamming magic like it was muscle memory before casually firing her starlight shotgun and nuking all the exiled lords in front of her in one flashy explosion, laughing that it ended way too fast, which made Lin Shang comment that her personality had changed a little too much, before telling both of them to wrap up quickly because his side wasn't going to be easy, after which he activated his power, summoned skeletons, ordered them to stall the trash mobs, and vanished into the shadows declaring he'd take the lord's head first, only for archer exiled lords to immediately rain attacks at him alongside Zukan, all of which Lin Shang blocked with his barrier while Zukan smugly sat down and suggested they wait for him to show up properly, And then in peak jump scare fashion, Lin Shang appeared behind one of them yelling for them to get lost, cutting him down with ghost blades as his nether horse reappeared, prompting Lin Shang to summon his blade and command it to wipe out all the trash without leaving survivors, while he charged another exiled lord using his curse strike, only to be targeted by an archer girl, forcing him to instantly counter and activate hopeless advice, summoning twisted hands that bent reality itself and dragged the exiled lord screaming into the ground, amusing Lin Shang just enough for Zukan to finally acknowledge him as impressive and offer him a deal to serve him in exchange for a comfortable life, which Lin Shang rejected instantly by leaping forward and telling him to save those words for after he was defeated, prompting Zukan to say he'd already given him his chance as the archer girl fired again. But Lin Shang dodged effortlessly and mocked that he preferred earning his own money instead of working for others, leading Zukan to coldly ask why Lin Shang wanted him dead at all, just as two more exiled lords blocked his path, making Lin Shang sigh internally about how troublesome this was, when suddenly a star-shaped attack flew in from the side and pinned the archer instantly, causing everyone to turn toward the source as Yan arrived and slashed one of the exiled lords cleanly, followed closely by Vincent, now in her small form, apologizing for being late. And as the battlefield shifted, Yan pointed her sword straight at Zukan and greeted him with a chilling long time no see, asking if he still remembered her, while Zukan stared back with a blank, confused expression, clearly drawing a memory error at the worst possible moment. On Lin Shang's side, his battle horse stood ready with Vincent and Yan backing him up like a fully stacked raid party, and Zukan finally squinted hard enough to remember Yan, mockingly asking if she still hadn't died yet, which instantly made Yan snap back that he really thought she'd go down that easily, prompting Zukan to smirk like a cartoon devil and say he'd always wondered why one AFO was missing from his storage after she vanished, praising her for finding good backup and coldly adding that her appearance had always been useful anyway, which made Yan completely lose it and charge at him screaming his name, only for two exiled lords to jump in her way. But Vincent casually wiped them out using her Star Chain shotgun skill and even winked at Yan like, "Go Queen, I got the trash," letting Yan dash forward and slash straight at Zukan, only for her blade to be stopped effortlessly between his fingers as he remarked she hadn't grown much stronger. When Lin Shang suddenly descended from behind mid-air yelling for him to taste this and landed a shaved soul slash that made Zukan's HP visibly drop, though Zukan brushed it off with an annoyed comment about how troublesome Lin Shang was before kicking him away and instantly activating his eye talisman, which appeared in front of Lin Shang and Vincent and detonated. But Vincent reacted fast and bound Zukan's left hand with magic, making him scoff and call her trash just as Yan rushed in again, only for Zukan to counter with zombie poison claw, slashing Yan and dropping her HP to nearly half as he cruelly told her to go die, then summoning zombies while activating Grave Gate support, opening a massive gate that poured out zombies with talismans on their heads and skeletons, like a full-on apocalypse DLC, declaring that they should just wait there and be crushed as the undead army flooded the battlefield and completely surrounded Lin Hyang, Yan, and Vincent, prompting Vincent to urgently tell them to think of something fast while Yan said this was the moment for their backup plan. And Lin Hyang calmly replied that his ultimate had a brutal cooldown and he'd planned to save it for Zukan, but decided this was good enough, immediately activating Death Coils 1, causing a massive skeleton face to descend from the sky itself and draw a sword as the skill detonated, triggering backlash on Lin Shang, but still obliterating everything in its path, wiping out Zukan's entire undead army in one go and draining his HP bar to almost zero, leaving Zukan completely stunned as he finally realized just how absurdly dangerous Lin Shang really was. Reeling from Lin Shang's nuke tier attack, Zukan stared in disbelief and muttered that Lin Shang had practically sacrificed most of his own HP to pull that off. But before he could even process it, Lin Shang instantly summoned his battle horse and told Yan to take it and finish the job, while Vincent raised her staff and declared she'd support too, immediately dropping a meteor descent that ripped through the sky like the universe itself rage quit. As Yan hopped onto the spirit warhorse, shouted her thanks, promised them a victory feast afterward, and charged forward yelling like it was the final lap of Mario Kart, while Zukan desperately swore he wouldn't let them escape and fired a talisman that exploded right in front of her, only for the warhorse to burst through the smoke still charging full speed, Yan's eyes blazing as she drew her sword, smiled like a menace, and unleashed her new moon skill, slicing straight through Zukan and leaving him in absolute shock as he collapsed, bitterly asking how he could lose to them. But just as it seemed over, another figure instantly appeared, grabbed Zukan, and activated AFS-018's blockage program, flooding the area with blinding light and vanishing like a plot twist nobody asked for, leaving Lin Shang stunned and saying he'd just seen another gully, Yan confirming they'd arrived too, and Vincent calmly explaining that it was an auxiliary terminal from an assassin organization, a support-configured automatic flying object also known as an EFO, which made Lin Shang ask if Yan was part of that organization, only for her to deny it and finally explain everything, reminding them how she'd escaped Zukan before, returned home to change clothes, planned to grab evidence from his office, and accidentally triggered a hidden function that opened a secret door behind a bookshelf, revealing that Zukan had been spying on online celebrities through those systems. And when she saw AF-093 listed as a supportive auxiliary terminal with CCTV, she'd assumed it was just a spying drone and activated it for fun, only for it to recognize her as its owner, forcing her to grab Gully and run when alarms went off. After which she used it with a new account, slowly figuring out its functions until she met Lin Shang in the West area, making Lin Shang admit he never expected her to be a hacker capable of hijacking a drone, while Yan proudly flexed that she was a top student after all. And right as Zukan was officially removed from the battlefield, the system announced Lin Shang's victory, issued the rewards, and confirmed that after defeating Zukan, Lin Shang had officially become the lord of the area's territory, locking in the W like a perfectly timed end credits scene. After taking down Zukan, the squad cruised back on the yacht like victors returning from a boss raid, when Vincent casually dropped the disclaimer that nobody should know she'd joined their alliance, reminding them she'd even changed her in-game appearance because she absolutely did not want her income getting sliced because of them, to which Lin Shang instantly gave a thumbs up and called her amazing, asking what reward she wanted, only for her to shrug it off and say Go had already paid in advance, prompting Yan to step forward and sincerely thank both of them, admitting that even though she hadn't personally finished Zukan, it still counted as revenge, which made Vincent pat her shoulder and tease her for having good taste in men, casually hyping Lin Shang's potential and embarrassing him into near-system error, before Vincent hopped onto her jet ski, waved dramatically, thanked them for the patronage, and dipped first like a true side character with mystery arc, after which Lin Shang and Yan finally returned to Lin Shang's hotel, making him remark how long it had been since he'd come back, while Yan proudly reported that she'd guarded their territory well, earning a head pat and a good job from Lin Shang. And as they went inside, they ran into Go, who greeted them by saying they'd finally returned and that his master still looked handsome as ever, leading Lin Shang to ask how he already knew about the win, only for Go to reveal Vincent had filled him in, prompting Lin Shang to say it was time to fulfill the promise, just as a familiar system light flared up again and Go panicked, shouting for help, forcing both him and Lin Shang to activate their systems as Lin Shang transferred the territory to Go, officially completing the deal and declaring that the Chen family was now partnered with Organization A, meaning the transaction was done and the Chen family could now walk around like they owned the place under organizational protection, while Go added that this likely meant clashing with Organization B later and handed Lin Shang the territory he'd promised, leading Lin Shang to announce his plan to move their base to the seaside area to expand control over the sea routes, which confused Yan as she asked whether they were abandoning the old area, only for both Lin Shang and Go to stare at her and burst out laughing, making her awkwardly ask what was so funny, until Go explained that no one in their right mind would dare touch territory protected by the Chen family, causing Yan to instantly understand that the old area had nowhere left to expand anyway, and Lin Shang agreed, saying that was exactly why he wanted to grow stronger and move into a wider world, activating his system to display a full world map before clenching his fist like a main character in the season finale, and declaring that they would march across all territories, officially marking the beginning of Lin Shang's next, much bigger journey.